supremacy of human rights everywhere. Our support goes to those who struggle to gain those rights and keep them. Our strength is our unity of purpose. To that high concept, there can be no end, save victory.
You need an opponent for the great debate. Well, how about a green room original?
This man was here when the numbers and metrics and celebrities weren't. This man was here paving the way, Mr. Risitano.
And Rock Richards.
This means a lot to me, and I want to win, but I won't lose.
Timothy Busfield, welcome to the show, and what an intro, huh?
That was great. Thank you, brother. That was fantastic.
Yeah, I think Alf would be wisecracking while the alien would be tearing everybody apart, I guess. Let's talk about some of the 80s horror classics.
Sheer 9 or 10. You're probably 9.5.
Oh.
10 is no one's perfect.
Real rigorous training, and I'm a Vietnam veteran, and I promised
first state to elect a third-party governor.
Thing about you, unbelievably good about you do your freaking homework. You're extremely prepared, much more prepared than most interviewers that I get.
right after I did Groundhog Day in
Buddy Case Western High. Ned Ryerson, I did the whistling belly button trick at the high school talent show.
The biggest problem with Superman is, Todd, you know what his damn weakness is, and it begins with a K.
There's no need.
Get your ass over there.
We don't have that red armor, and I, or Kara, come at you.
I mean, maybe some of you guys got something you never fit.
Let me break this lamp and say I'm sorry and put the lamp back together.
And you're told no, even after you pay your dues? Who's got the right to tell you that? Who? Nobody.
The point I am making is that every person at the end of the day still has...
It's your right to listen to your gut. It ain't nobody's right to say no.
...has the right to make some form of living.
And all those things that you can do to make sure that the people that you put in those positions, they check out. They're
after you earn the right to be where you want to be, to do what you want to do.
Vetted.
John Red is advanced. First off, John Red. Let out! Howard Collado was finished second and will also advance. Second.
And every time I watch that movie, I don't know why, but memories are a really strong thing. So,
because every single dance move and every single fight move meant something.
That is how it stands.
Just such a magnanimous effect on the emotional brokenness, the mental health issues. Giving kids a chance to start their day on a positive foot.
What do you do about the atheists? What do you do about people that have different views on life?
Babcock has moved on to round number 2 in the grand celebrity debate of 40.
Think it's unbelievable how you give into the hand.
Ali thought he needed to have a comeback. I don't know whose bad advice that was. He fought Larry Holmes and couldn't get out of his chair after 10 rounds of a 15-round fight.
That can be any kind of comeback for yourself. And comeback can be from, you before you retired.
Creed just got up like a man possessed.
Officially in round number 2 of the Celebrity Grand Debate Tournament is Marcus Buck Bagwell
the character from who they are.
Everybody else is nothing more than a mere fantasy.
It's easier just to put everything into one box.
You made a hell of a rep for yourself enough.
Very high A.
Eric, how are you, my friend?
What's up, Vic? How you doing, man? I like that. I like that introduction. Golly, I didn't know that stuff about myself.
Don't tell me to can it. Janet. I've one thing to say, and that's damn it, Janet. I love you.
No, you know what? You're a very interesting person.
Okay. What's the matter now, Cyril? You and that woman? What woman? Officer Howell?
Ralph Cramden, the yoga instructor, or Don Corleone, the computer repair person?
With all this rhyming stuff, you must really put a lot of effort into this. I would love to read or see something that you've written.
Oh, there's no mom. Oh, I love you that you brought that up.
Oh, I'm sure it's really interesting.
I really enjoyed this, man. You're a smart guy, and yes, you live.
Different shows.
It's fabulous. There's something out here that's entertaining.
Well, he never surrenders to anger and doubt.
Henry Kissinger's deep, soothing voice, or dogs wearing sweaters?
I like dogs wearing.
Guys and gals and pals, what's that? You're melting? You're on fire? It has nothing to do with this heat wave. As the video indicated, in this tournament, it's every person for themselves. No one will give you a save. The fire, the desire, it's all about the present, not the moment prior. Many of these matches have gone down to the wire. Each and every week, the bar gets higher and higher. The mundane and ordinary could try and conspire. But this is the land of innovation. I know, I'm preaching to the choir. We keep it real because that's in our DNA. Like Jim Carrey in the second half of Liar, Liar. We educate, pontificate, and entertain like a microphone in the hands of one Richard Pryor. These rhymes done? Nope. Sorry, not sorry. Just getting started. In this grand debate celebrity tournament, some have advanced while others have departed. With 13,000 on the line, guys and gals, a trip for 2 degrees, and the right to become Mr., Mrs., or Miss TKN, there is so much on the line. It begins with the great debate champ, the odds-on favorite. Yup, Eric Herron. That man can shine. Hall of Famers Rick Barry, Jim McMahon, JBL, Mark Henry, and Joe Briscoe can all go all the way and break your spine. How about Brian Blair, Stephen Tobolowsky, Pete Babcock? They're more informative than a C-SPAN broadcast hosted by Ben Stein. Stephen Tobolowsky and Jim Brunzell, their vast array of knowledge, they age like fine wine. Jeremy London, Eddie Johnson, they have it all. In fact, they're researching Greece already, as they call the airline. Giselle and Pete, what a treat. They're no underdogs here. There's no challenge that they will decline. Fred Ottman and Buff Bagwell have a bark as big as their bite, like James Belushi, partner in K9. But this mountain will be climbed by a man named Avi Klein. I will never resign. Howard Collado and Kara J bring the numbers every time they headline. But what of the other 5 or 6 mystery competitors? In this tournament, we have over 10 Hall of Famers, legends, champions, and award winners. Oh my! In this single elimination tournament, it's one loss and you're out. We call it do or die. And on this incredible and innovative network known as TKN, there are already 60-plus shows with even more Oscar, Grammy, Emmy, and Tony Award winners, Hall of Famers, legends. We ain't changing the game. We've created our console. Chew on that. In this tournament, where else can so many luminaries and up-and-comers compete for one singular goal? They each bring a flavor or a distinct quality, like a third person, speaking like Bob Dole, a Robert De Niro mole, a Diego Maradona goal, Lane Stanley belting out the lyrics to Down in a Hole, a shot blocked by 7'7" Manute Bol, a pissed off Freddy Krueger stealing your soul, or ladies, an Avi Klein kiss that is sure to make you whole. You know it to be true, don't you? But enough! It's now about these three competitors with only a few spots left. They each want to advance to round 2. Our first competitor brings the facts. He doesn't need to buy a vowel or even a clue. He's intelligent, talented, and one of a kind. His work ethic is incredible. He most definitely doesn't fear the grind. His vast array of knowledge might indeed be a plus when it's all said and done. His future begins tonight. Will he strike out or hit a glorious home run? His opponents are the cream of the crop, so I hope that he's ready to go toe-to-toe. Let's give it up to Mr. Voiceover himself, first name Joe, last name Risitano.
Hey, welcome, Avi. Thank you.
Grand debate tournament, round number 1.
I am pumped and excited to be on the grand debate. Finally, it has been a long time coming, but here I am, and thankful for everybody watching and all of you that makes this engine go. This is the time, and I am ready.
Absolutely, guys and gals. This is Joe Risitano, co-host of the Voiceovers. 60-plus shows. Remember, guys, we are now streaming on 53 pages on Facebook. 53, not to mention our YouTube channel, our new network Facebook page, and, of course, guys and gals, my personal page and the pages of my co-hosts. And, guys, as you know, we are also dealing right now with something brand new that we've never unveiled before. We're going to do that. A fatal 4-way next Saturday night. 4 mystery competitors. Who knows who they are? And guys, once again, we started with a big donut a couple years ago. Now, 7-figure views on 53 pages, not including my own. That's what we do here. When you total everything up, you guys are the engine that makes this thing go. And if you want more content, all you got to do is visit www.thenewnetwork.com. That's www.thekenewwork.com. Who knew? We know, and so do you. So, with that, Joe Risitano, are you ready for your next opponent, my friend?
I am ready. Thank you, Avi.
Guys and gals, the second opponent in this trifecta. And how about this, guys? How did Joe Risitano qualify? How did he get here? How did he move into round number 1? Shame on me for forgetting for a moment. I can't forget this. Hopefully none of us can as well when Joe Risitano went toe-to-toe with quite the opponent, Michael Winslow.
Freddy Krueger had some of the most iconic moments, but what made him special was the fact that he hit certain points: morality, horror, and humor. Put them in cheese. You get to put butter on them if they're large enough. And then you have ones that are little small ones. You can have them in a tiny bag. He had a certain way of emphasizing words. Welcome to primetime ballet. With that, he was able to make a blaze of trails for other comedians who...
Joe Risitano's guy went on New Year's Eve. Remember, we had a qualifying round. On New Year's Eve, Joe Risitano went toe-to-toe with Michael Winslow. Of course, he's now here in round number 1. Here he is. And guys and gals, the second opponent in this trifecta is a man that is absolutely relentless. He understands psychology, fear, strategy, and the human game of chess. He brings it all to the table: strength, wisdom, brain power, and desire. Before it's all said and done, even the Human Torch might not be able to compete with his fire. Riddle me this, riddle me that. Shut up, Riddler. This ain't no comic book. You all getting the message regarding this competitor? Or are you aching to have a look? Welcome to this exclusive field. Kick that door down. No need to knock. Let's give it up for talent and force. Last name Richards. First name Rock. Rock Richards. Welcome to the Celebrity Grand Debate.
Avi Klein, thank you for having me, brother. It's Saturday night, so you know what that means. It's time for the great debate. I'm excited. I'm ready to go. I mean, I can't wait to see what old Joe Risitano brings to the table. And on top of it all, we're talking about a mystery competitor. I mean, that alone just adds that extra, like that dynamic. How do you plan for a mystery opponent?
You can't plan for them, guys. You can't plan. Remember the rules. There will be 3 topics. The 2 individuals, and I'm about to bring the mystery competitor right now. The 2 individuals who have the most amount of points / votes after 3 topics, those 2 will advance to round number 2, guys and gals. You saw the list of great competitors in round number 2 already. There's more to come, of course. More Hall of Famers. We got 10 Hall of Famers here. Oscar winners, award winners, all trying to compete for the pride and the prize. Not just $13,000. No. Not just a trip for 2 degrees. No. Not just the right to call themselves Mr., Mrs., or Miss TKN. No. Also, they want to win this thing because it's about the pride. They're all winners, guys and gals. A lot of people in this tournament. We've seen them again. Everyone from... Stephen Tobolowsky to Jeremy London. So many people in this tournament right now in round number 2. Some of the best of the best. So with that, the wait is over. Rock's opponent and Joe's opponent. The second opponent in this trifecta is a man, guys and gals, as I brought up, is quite relentless, and his name is Rock Richards, which is why, as you could see, Rock, I want to give you a chance to speak to the viewers momentarily for about 30 seconds. What does this mean to you? Of course, the 13 grand, of course, the trip, but it's about the pride as well. Am I right?
Well, absolutely. I mean, yeah, of course, you know, money, trips, those are all alluring. But, you know, you hear often, like in wrestling, that people ask you, well, who did you beat? And, brother, that exemplifies this tournament. I mean, you're talking about sports Hall of Famers, comedians, musicians, talents of the silver screen. I mean, to win this,
Where else?
Going to put you. It's going to elevate you to a different level, no matter who you are. So for someone like myself, coming out of obscurity and to have a shot to face off with such great talents, I mean, it's a measuring stick for me. But it shows that the nature of this whole thing.
You don't have a blemish. You don't have a blemish, Rock.
You're giving the working man a chance.
Yeah. Well, guess what? I appreciate that. But, guys, you guys are incredible. Again, the home run, guys and gals, will happen after 3 topics. We'll find out which 2 competitors advance to round number 2, an exclusive and star-studded field, indeed, with some up-and-coming talent as well. A smorgasbord, if you will. Where else can you get that? 2 people, 2 different walks of life, Hall of Famers from sports, Oscar winners, all competing for the pride of the prize, and we're doing it live. 146 straight episodes. Who else can bring you that? Nobody else does. We do, and you know the truth, guys and gals. So speaking of the truth, our 3rd competitor right now, guys and gals, it is true. He is here with us. Our mystery competitor, who so happens to be a class act. He's humble. He's talented. That happens to be a fact. I provided hints all week. Have you figured it all out? Have you figured out all the codes? His honest and truthful body of work is impressive. Big shout out to Sherry Rhodes. Some of you are still confused as to who this competitor might be, but are you dazed? Television, film, or the stage, his work deserves to always be praised. A fellow writer, this is a true Renaissance man that can truly do it all. Will his arguments tonight convince the masses like a Bob Odenkirk speech in Better Call Saul? He's here to stand victorious. When it's all said and done, he will settle for nothing less than a win. Put your hands together for a kind, humble, talented man. Last name London, first name Jason. Jason London, welcome to the Celebrity Grand Debate Tournament.
Hey guys, how's it going, man?
How are you doing, Jason?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good, man. Hanging out here, trying to not boil alive here in Florida.
You were talking to me actually the other day. We spoke a few times, of course. You told me as well, you concur, it's not just about 13 grand or the trip. It's about the pride of winning the whole tournament. Am I right?
Oh, man, it's just, you know, it's a lot of fun regardless. You know, it's just fun to be a part of it.
Absolutely. Now, what is it about playing against or debating against the very best that, you know, we saw, of course, in round number 2, there's a lot of competitors from all walks of life. Knowing that you're measuring yourself up as a debater against the very best, the competition is what we thrive for. Am I right, Jason?
Yeah. I mean, you know, all I can do is kind of come from where sort of my own point of view about opinions about things, and you know, some things. The word debate is you know, a little strange because it's all about opinion. I reckon, but I think it's a fun thing to get a chance to do.
Guys and gals, Jason London and I, of course. You know, why not do it right now, Jason? Guys and gals, we're going to do this after the match, but we're going to do it right now. Hey, 60 plus shows. Why not 61? Jason London has officially joined the new network, guys and gals. We will have more news on our show. Yes, that's right. He's sticking around, guys. That means we have Jeremy London, Jason London, of course, more Hall of Famers, more great talents. This is going to be a show that covers everything you can imagine. We're going to have a lot of fun as well. We'll announce the title of the show and the artwork at a future date. But Jason London, welcome officially to the new network.
Hey, glad to be here, man. This is all new to me, so I'm excited.
Absolutely, guys and gals, and I'm excited as well. A quick rundown of the rules really quickly, even though we, of course, described them to our viewers. Let's run it down again. Guys, there will be 3 topics. You will be voting after all 3 competitors finish debating each singular topic. We have 2 wildcard voters in the fans. Right now, the fans, guys and gals, who are watching, we have 2 individuals who are voting whose points are worth 3. Karen Price and Chad TK Superfan. The judges' points are worth 3. They're in the back as well. Remember, at any point, and this will help the debaters, at any point, if someone is making a point, the other competitors can simply raise their index finger and rebut them. Once they raise their index finger, I'll pop up on screen, make it official. You could rebut the person speaking. Again, after 3 rounds, we will total up all the points. We'll keep tallying them in the back as well. The top 2 vote getters move on to round number 2, this exclusive field where, again, 13,000 on the line, trip for 2 degrees, as you guys know, and so much more. So with that, let's start unveiling the topics and let you know who goes first. In topic number one, round number one, Joe will go first. Rock will go second. Jason will go third. Here is topic number one. It is the most influential horror film of all time. And there's a certain magic when it comes to horror. Part of us wants to close our eyes, while the other half definitely needs to keep peeking at the horrors on screen. The horror genre was one of the very first ones to debut in cinemas. Seeing as how it was able to keep the audiences fascinated, and also their imaginations running wild, I'm not surprised. From monsters to the paranormal, there's a lot to see when it comes to horror. One reason we consume horror, perhaps, is to experience stimulation. Exposure to terrifying acts, or even the anticipation of those acts, can stimulate us both mentally and physically in opposing ways. Negatively, in the form of fear and anxiety. Positively, in the form of excitement or joy. For instance, watching a horror video simultaneously activates both types of stimulation, with the most pleasure experienced at the most fearful moment. Many horror films have influenced filmmakers, authors, storytellers, but only a select few spoke to a great majority. So, Joe Risitano will make a case for the original Psycho as the most influential horror film of all time. When he's finished, Rock will make a case for the original Halloween, John Carpenter's Halloween, as the most influential horror film of all time. And when Rock is finished, Jason London will make a case for The Shining, the original, as the most influential horror film of all time. Guys and gals, we're going to start things off with Joe. And remember, vote fairly, guys. Even if you like the film, you shouldn't be voting because you like said film. Who made the better argument? That's how we're voting. You guys, of course, know the deal. You're the engine that makes this thing go. So many comments. We broke records last week. Let's keep breaking those records. Joe Risitano, Rock Richards, Mr. London, are you guys ready?
I'm ready. Let's go. I'm ready.
Ready. Let's do this.
Guys and gals, Joe will go uninterrupted unless someone rebuts him, of course. Everyone will be looking on screen. Joe, the floor is yours in a 3, in a 2, in a U.
Well, starting out, we have 1960s Psycho, which was directed by Alfred Hitchcock. And for those who don't know, and for those who do know, let's recap, because the story goes with Marion Crane, who's a secretary in Phoenix, Arizona, and she is on the lam currently because she stole $40,000 from her boss just so she could run away with her boyfriend, who's named Sam Loomis. At that point, through exhaustion of just running away and tired, she starts to go on the back roads, where at that point, she finds a rickety, ramshackle place called the Bates Motel, where she meets a young and very upstanding gentleman named Norman Bates. From there, Norman introduces himself, and he establishes that he's into taxidermy, and he's a very likable, though kind of shy individual. But one thing you notice off the bat after he leaves from visiting with Marion is that he has a difficult relationship with his mother. After they have an argument, which Marion overhears, they have dinner together and they discuss his position and where she's going to go and why she's on the run all this time. And through talking with him, she realizes that what she's doing at this point, she doesn't want to take this money. She doesn't want to keep it and still have it, and this weight and guilt she has. So she finishes her conversation with Norman, and that's when she goes to take a shower, which in this case, she feels kind of like it symbolizes like she's cleaning herself up from the guilt that she has. And in the middle of her shower, Mrs. Bates, Norman's mother, interrupts her and immediately stabs her several times. And it's terrifying. It's a terrifying moment. And that immediately cements the rest of the story. Is this main character that is our character in the story is taken out of the picture in the first half of the movie. And then after that, it proceeds into a mystery where people are trying to find out who this is. Her sister comes after to look for her, her boyfriend, Sam Loomis, and then an investigator goes to find her, which in trying to find her, the investigator also gets killed and stabbed. He's on a stairway looking for her in the same house, and he gets stabbed to death as well, which then through trickle down of finding out all this and making their way into the mystery, that's where her sister finds out that not only is Mrs. Bates, this person that is Norman's mother, not alive. She has been dead for several years, and in going to find out where her sister is, and even the investigator, she finds a dead body that is Norman's mother that has just been hanging there. And Norman comes in as his mom and is about to kill her. And this is when Everett, the police arrive, prevent it. And then from that moment, Norman is just declared mad. And you think it's all fine until that ending where Norman has an inner monologue as his mother. And that's when you see he was crazy, but he's let go. That's basically the ending, is he's let go. It's done. How does that influence other movies, though? How is this influential? That's where we get into this portion where Norman is a normal guy. He's not someone that immediately starts off with a mask or was a serial killer. He's a normal individual. This was established later in movies like Peeping Tom, which technically was made before that, but it didn't come out till later because of horrible laws with the Hayes Office and propriety. But they did that same thing into films like, for instance, Halloween. For you, Mr. Richards. Halloween established Michael as a normal kid, sort of, in that way. As well as you have Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs. You have Mrs. Pamela Voorhees from Friday the 13th, just a normal grieving mother. And then you have people like Billy Loomis and Stu Macher from Scream. These are just normal guys. They're not intentional in trying to kill people beforehand. They're just normal people committing these acts of murder. Secondary, we have the killer is let go, and that's it. They're unpunished. They established that later in films like Black Christmas and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, both coming out in 1974, where at this point, not only establishing that a killer can go unpunished, which was indecent, 4 years later, Halloween did the same thing in its story where the killer disappears right at the end and also goes unpunished. And to top it all off, the music for this movie was incredible, especially with the shower sequence, because in a scientific article done by Fox News with James Miller, PhD, it was established that music, if it has a higher level of instruments, if they're a lot broader, can make it so that you feel a lot more stressed out. If, on the other hand, it goes above 80 beats per minute, which at the lowest level...
5 minutes.
Okay. At the lowest level establishing, you have at 124 beats per minute, the Jaws theme, which was influenced by this. You have the Halloween theme, which was 136 beats per minute. And then you have the actual Psycho theme, which was 140 beats per minute, including Reanimator, which uses 146 beats per minute and is just the Psycho theme turned on its head and made larger. This film has so many connections, even including with Halloween, where Dr. Sam Loomis is the name of her boyfriend in Psycho. Sam Loomis, who's played by Donald Pleasance, and then Jamie Lee Curtis, who's the daughter of Janet Leigh, who played in Psycho, is the main actress in Halloween. It's like the connections are riddled everywhere in several different horror movies. So for me, that is why Psycho is continually an influence to horror. Every time you see something in one other movie, it keeps going, whether or not you know that. And that is my point for Psycho being the most influential horror movie of all time.
Yes, guys, if you finish before the 10-minute has expired, you can simply let me know that you're done. I will come up on screen. Guys, Rock Richards is next. Remember, you guys can rebut Rock Richards or Jason when he's going up next simply by lifting your index finger up, and you could rebut them, ask them any question, put them on the spot, do whatever you want. That is for every competitor on screen. Rock Richards, you'll make a case for why the original Halloween from 1978, John Carpenter's Halloween, is the most influential horror film of all time. Are you ready? In a 3, in a 2, in a U.
All right, Mr. Klein. Well, as you stated, the year was 1978, and there was an indie film distributor, and I want to get his name correct, Irwin Yablans. He decided that he wanted to make a horror film with a meager budget of $300,000. So he turns to a director who actually had some success with a film called Assault on Precinct 13, Mr. John Carpenter. He approaches Carpenter with the movie. Carpenter has a few demands. One is he wants full creative control. He wants to produce the music, and he wants his name above the title. And Yablans tells him, hey, look, if you can make this movie for $300,000, you can have whatever you want. So Carpenter agrees. Well, now they have to get the $300,000. So they go and see a producer by the name of Mustafa Akkad. And at first, Mr. Akkad is not really keen on the movie. He has a thought process, well, if the movie's too expensive, it might not be worth it. But also, if the movie is too cheap, it also might not be worth it. So Yablans kind of plays Akkad's pride against him and tells, well, you know what, John, maybe the $300,000 is a bit too much for Mr. Akkad. And of course, he's like, no, wait. So they get the money, $300,000, and John Carpenter is supposed to make this movie in about 4 weeks. So you have a bunch of young upstart actors and actresses. Of course, as Mr. Risitano mentioned, they hired Jamie Lee Curtis, whose mother was a star of Psycho. Father, I believe, was Tony Curtis, very famous actor. Anyway, so you got people's moms, dads, brothers, sisters, uncles, all getting their hands dirty in producing this movie. But what they don't have initially is they don't have a name. They don't have someone that really brings that star power to the table. So after a few other choices turns Carpenter down, he turns to Donald Pleasance. Well, he offers him 20 grand, but that isn't really enough to get Pleasance to join the film. What it takes actually is the recommendation from Pleasance's own daughter that he do the film. And the reason being is because she was a musician and she loved the music from Assault on Precinct 13. So he agrees to do the film. He's on set, man. Everyone's terrified of him. He's a real presence, but what they don't know is he's really forcing the best out of them. Well, the next thing they need to do is they need a character, and they decide to go. They want a masked maniac. Well, they don't have a lot of money. The options are limited. They go out. They get 2 masks. One is a clown mask, and one, as we all know, is the infamous William Shatner mask, where they got to pull the eyebrows off and take the sideburns off and cut the old eye holes out a little bigger, and they paint it white. And then finally now they have their character. But let's talk about what this film does. First of all, we have some pioneering new film techniques, a special type of camera, of course, used in the introduction of the movie, where they show Michael Myers as a young boy who eventually goes through the house, puts on his mask, stabs his sister. That was innovative in itself. But what Carpenter really did was Carpenter really had a flair for using the negative space. He'd pan out with these wide shots and have, say, the main character off to the side and really just shock and amaze and awe people with what they called then was the shape. And so what Carpenter also was very good at was building suspense. He doesn't give you the character right away. You don't see Michael Myers. You don't understand fully what he is. Building up the suspense, building up the drama. He left so much unexplained that as a fan, it draws you in. Now, with a budget so low,
5 minutes,
they have really not a lot of money for the special effects. So guess what? There's little to no blood. The gore is very limited, but yet every scene is so impactful without it. Now, they shopping the video around, or I'm sorry, the film around, they can't get people to bite on it. Producers look at the film, this is not scary. It was only until after Carpenter added the music that it really got the attention that it deserved, and people really wanted a piece of the movie. But what it also did, Avi, it established the main character, which you would call the final girl, the virginal, free of sin character that's always left at the end of the movie to fight off the evil demon, which you see for decades upon decades later. This film was the type of film that left you scared to death when you walked home from the movie theater, because this character, devoid of any form, they drew inspiration from the movie Eyes Without a Face, the character that you don't see. And what that does is it almost creates this anonymity. When you see this character, you almost get afraid. You know who might be under that mask? It might be me, because you're talking about a character who was just evil from the beginning. And this film, with its meager budget, they added $20,000 extra dollars, so $320,000, ends up becoming the most profitable film, independent film of all time, and would remain that way until, I believe, 1999, when the Blair Witch Project came out. This movie, when they came up with the title, they went with Halloween. Yablans wanted something that had to do with Halloween, and it built so much strength in this title that later on movies like Friday the 13th would get produced off of just the title alone.
2 minutes.
So this film, it is like the grandfather of all the slasher films. Psycho, perhaps considered one of the first ever slasher films. But with these type of characters, you have Norman Bates. You can understand why Norman Bates went crazy. Look at what his mom did to him. Look at the way he was treated. There is no explanation for why Michael Myers is such a psycho. He's unexplainable, which again leads to that for the creative process in your own mind to understand this character. And it's basically laid out the blueprint for the next 50 years of what a slasher film is. If you don't have Halloween, you don't have Friday the 13th, you don't have Nightmare on Elm Street, you don't have any of the films and horror that we see today. And I'm good.
Very good, guys and gals. Joe Risitano and Rock Richards made their argument. Remember, so much on the line. You guys and gals can start voting when Jason London is finished making his point. Again, Joe Risitano, Rock, Jason London, two individuals here who have been here for a while. Jason London, announced earlier with myself, of course, part of an amazing roster that makes up the new network. Jason will be making a point, guys and gals, for The Shining as the most influential horror film of all time. Jason, are you ready to go?
Yeah, I'm as ready as I can be, I guess.
In a 3, in a 2, in a U.
All right. Yeah, well, I'm coming from, I guess, a different place than these guys are coming from, in the sense of all I can do is really talk about the way that the movie The Shining affected me in comparison to the way that the other movies affected me. I remember trying to watch Psycho when I was younger, and back then, black and white movies were boring to me, and it took me until until well after I had even seen The Shining before I even appreciated Psycho, which was brilliant. But for me personally, I think I have to go on just basically what it would make me feel, because creature features and hide and seek horror movies where the girl's running from the guy and trips and falls and then runs again, and luckily gets like a blow in or two and then gets beat up again and gets away, and all of that, which is a lot of fun. And my mom's youngest sister, she used to babysit us, and I'm probably going to get her in trouble, but she used to, she was fairly young herself, and she used to love to play these movies for us. So whenever she would rent them, and so we got to watch a lot of them, and we got to where we really enjoyed. I really enjoyed the Friday the 13th and the things like that. Especially, I loved all of the slasher movies and all that. But then whenever I watched The Shining, it hit me in a way that was different than the other movies, because it's a constant question of what's going on. I mean, you sort of get the feeling of how eerie the hotel is as soon as they pull up and get in there, and it's freezing cold. It's a morgue already, basically outside, and you sort of get that. It's a gigantic space, but incredibly claustrophobic feel. And like I said, maybe just being a filmmaker or whatever, I kind of go off of how did it make me feel and what did I feel about it. And there's a difference in, in sort of like the Freddy movies or whatever, like going for the bad guy. You're like, yeah, go Freddy, get him. And then where it's like, holy shit, like get away from this guy because he's nuts. And there's so many different levels to the onion of The Shining, of what's going on. Is the entire place haunted? Is it this thing that's going to happen to literally anybody that takes care of the place over the winter? What are his ghosts? I think it's sort of, talks about it, and you see he's fighting alcoholism, and he's sort of like, he's not only there with real demons, but he's fighting his own demons. And I think that the number one star of it is Stanley Kubrick. I mean, I would watch anything that the man directed, and I think I pretty much have. And he's brilliant. And it was as soon as I'm go to Blockbuster and rent movies with your aunt and not tell your mom years old. And so as soon as The Shining and came out on VHS, and my aunt showed that to us, that scared me more than any of the other sort of slasher camp, hide and seek movies. So I think it's more, for me, I appreciate the psychological aspect of horror more than gore and more than vampires and more than zombies and things like that. It's the true underlying thing of like, could that really happen to me in real life, as opposed to some of the other things, which is like, clearly, like, it's not going to happen. We can have a lot of fun with this. But so you wonder. I wonder myself, if I had to spend an entire winter in that big creepy hotel, would I perhaps lose my marbles a little bit as well? So it's like the aspect of like, is there some sort of supernatural haunting to it? What's the whole situation with the son, and why is he able to see things that other people can't see? And it just has more and more layers of it, and then once you start sort of slowly figuring out what the truth is about everything, with Scatman Crothers' wonderful character, and about the fact that he's just sort of in this hall of ghosts. Are they real? Were they real at one point? What's his relationship with them? He says something along the lines of how he's kind of always been there, and you don't really figure that out. And it takes like it's a head scratcher, because my best conclusion to it was that he basically shows at the end of the movie, there's that photograph of him back in like 1929. In the crowd in the same hotel. So is it the same? Is it a reincarnation of the same soul over and over and over, experiencing the same thing but just in a different time period? Or is he a ghost himself? But if he is, how do you explain him having the wife and the kid, and what the hell's going on with the kid in the first place? And the things like the red rum thing, the blood in the halls, the twins, all of that. Those are things, and being a twin. Cheating a little bit there with that one, but it creeped me the hell out. And so that's really about all I have to say. It's Kubrick all the way, really, with it. And Jack Nicholson was, of course, Jack Nicholson. So
I have to say something. Okay, hold 1 second, Joe. Bill Paxton, who I used to write for, the late great Bill Paxton, would always ask a relative of his, either a cousin or an uncle, what are your 3 favorite horror films? And his uncle would say The Shining, Halloween, and of course, Psycho, the original.
Yeah.
And he asked him, what did you like about those films? He goes, I don't know, I never watched them. That's why they're my favorites. They're already scared. They're already mind blowing to me. So, and that's Bill Paxton, who again, God rest his soul.
Yes, he's a wonderful, incredible human being.
Without question. And I thought one of the most underrated horrors is a film he directed called Frailty. Maybe one day we'll talk about Frailty, which is a classic as well. Yeah. Guys and gals, incredible, because Jason London, of course, most influential film, influenced him. Joe Risitano, Rock Richards, films that influenced, of course, the masses as well. Different perspective, different takes. Who spoke to you the most and why? Determine via your votes as to who you think won this round. We have 2 more to go no matter what. Remember, it's a collective thing. It's not an individual thing. After 3 topics have been debated and discussed, the top 2 vote getters will advance to round number 2. Let's bring in the judges right now because they have a say. Howard Collado, who gets your vote and why?
My vote is going to go to Rock Richards. He really talked about the technical innovation that Halloween brought to the table. He talked about the use of negative space, how you're not given too much also about the character as well, and how there was a neutrality to the mask that kind of elicited from the viewer this thing of being able to project anything that you want onto the mask as well. So my vote's going to go with Rock.
Eric, please tally those in the back, my friend. I'll pull you up last to vote. So right now we are at the judges' points and votes are worth 3. Rock has 3 points very early on in topic number 1. Let's bring in Megan. Who do you vote for and why?
Well, I really enjoyed all of the debates. I did notice that I feel like both Joe and Rock really brought in how things connected to other things, whereas Jason talked more about how it affected him personally, which I enjoyed. But I think that because of that, for this one in particular, because Joe also brought up Halloween as being one of the things that was influenced by Psycho, I'm going to go with Joe for this one.
Joe Risitano gets 3 points, guys and gals, very early on over here. John, please unmute your microphone. Pete Sharpie, I'm going to bring you in to vote.
Hey, everyone.
Hello.
Give me once.
Pete is having tech problems. I will put you backstage. Giselle, let us know who you vote for and why.
You love using that name, don't you? Good
Yes, I
evening,
do.
gentlemen.
Yes, I
Mr. London, welcome. We are very excited to have you here. Mr. Risitano, I very much appreciated how you spoke of the various films which Psycho influenced. Mr. Richards, I very much appreciated how you spoke of the techniques used and gained that other films used in the past. I have to agree with Megan on this one. I was very torn until she brought up that point, and this was going to be a question I asked. Would we have had a Halloween without a Psycho? And because Joe also mentioned that Psycho influenced Halloween, my vote goes to Mr. Risitano.
All right, so that is another 3 points there for Mr. Risitano. Eric, if you can please log that in the back, I would appreciate that. Mr. Pete, are you ready to go? Ready to vote? I hope that you are. Very good. Okay, who do you vote for and why?
I apologize about that. All right, so all 3 films, you got Psycho, Halloween, The Shining. As a kid, The Shining hit differently, and I agree with Jason, personal experience, everything in that, how it influenced a lot of things personally in watching horror films. But Joe actually hit the connections between films and how each film influenced another. And I believe that's what the topic was all about. So my vote goes for Joe.
Joe Risitano gets another vote, guys. If we go to the tally right now, again, judges' points and votes are worth 3 points each. So right now we are at 9-3, Joe in the lead. Let's bring in John Red. John, who do you vote for and why?
How you guys doing?
Good to see you, John.
So I was back and forth between Joe and Rock. I think it comes down to Joe laid out pretty much that it was the granddaddy of them all. And I agree with Kate, Giselle. You don't have a Halloween without a Psycho. So
Yeah, but I want to bring this up, guys, again, to all our judges and everybody watching again. Who made the better point? Who made the better argument? Not saying it's Joe, not saying it's Jason, not saying it's Rock, because guess what? My votes don't count. I am not voting. Thank God I'm a moderator. But let's remember, Who made the better argument? We know Psycho was the innovator. We get that. Who made the better argument? That's what we have to do here, guys, when we're voting. No bias. John, go ahead. Finish your point, please.
Absolutely. You had talked about when you were debating, Joe. You had talked about the scenes, the way they set the scenes up, and for it be the very first horror film that didn't have the guy to be punished at the end. Now that's kind of what put it over for me.
Who are you voting for?
Joe Risitano.
Okay, another 3 points for Joe. Let's bring in Eric Heron, who will be giving us his take on who wins this particular round and why.
Hey guys, welcome back to the green room, Mr. London. It's a pleasure to have you. Rock, good to see you, brother. Joe, how you doing? So let's get down to brass tacks for a minute. Joe, you had me lost there for a minute. I'm gonna be honest. Running down the plot of Psycho, I was kind of wondering where you were going with it. Then you hit your notes about Norman being portrayed as normal. I don't know about that so much, but you did go where the killer went unpunished. You talked about the score. Great points to you. Moving over to Mr. Richards, who gave a thesis on why Halloween was much more sorry guys, I'm having a hard time talking. Much more influential than even Psycho was because of the things that spawned. The entire slasher genre spawned because of Halloween. Now we get to where we're going real. The Shining. The Shining being one of the most influential films of all time, not just because of the horror, not just because of the gore, because of what Mr. London spoke of, the psychological aspect, the cabin fever aspect of it. This could really happen. I know if he felt the chill in his bones when he watched it, I felt the chill in my bones when I watched it. Ladies and gentlemen, Jason London, 3 points to him.
Eric Heron votes for Jason London, guys and gals. Right now, let me give you the recap before we turn it over to our viewers, the engine that makes this entire thing go. 12 for Joe Risitano, 3 for Rock Richards, and 3 for Jason London. Top 2 vote getters advance. Remember, it isn't merely one person who advances. The top 2 will advance to round 2. Brian Last, let's tally this, votes for Rock Richards. My vote for Rock Richards all did great, but he is right on the final girl has been such an influence on modern slashers. Guys, again, where else, what other show can your votes determine the outcome of a match? Nowhere else but here, live as well. Claire Shields votes for Joe. So 1 more point for Joe. Okay, got that. Christopher, this is interesting here, okay. All 3 movies were great, groundbreaking. My vote goes to Joe. Okay, he votes for Joe Risitano. Got that. Chris votes for Joe. Cedrix votes for Joe Risitano. He has my vote. Again, guys and gals, this is all live, and that's what we do here. Phil says, Rock brought out so many subtle factors. Rock gets my vote. A vote from Phil to Rock Richards. Gus Anselmo says, this is without bias. He had it in the bag. Timely and precise. Rock had great points. Detail is great, but it wasn't as concise as Joe's point. You didn't vote. Don't know who you're voting for. You're making good points there, but see a vote. Sean Stasiak, all men made great points. And I love all 3 flicks, but Joe had such a great layout and delivery of numerous films that all connected. Joe has my vote. You are all freaking psychos. From you, I take it as a compliment, Mr. Stasiak. Thank you. Zane Beatty votes for Joe. Okay. Jaleesa Bailey votes for Rock Richards. Point goes for Rock. You like Joe's argument. That's not a vote. Thank you, Randy, though. We appreciate you. Let us know who you're voting for. We got to make it official. Andrew Red the 4th. Got to go with Jason. Kept it real. Start to finish. Sunshine Vaught. My vote is for Jason. 2 more votes for Jason London right now, guys and gals. Chad. His points are worth 3. He's one of our wild card voters. All 3 men debated awesome. Joe just hit hardcore facts. I vote for Joe, and I have never been a Psycho fan. There you go. Okay, 3 points go to Joe Risitano. Gus says, I voted above Avi. I will get there, my friend. I'm doing this live. Thank you very much. Mindy says, Joe nailed it. He gets my vote. Another point for Joe Risitano. Guys, I don't have a tech person. It's not how it works here, doing this in the back. So give me a moment as I scroll up live and also give you the sweet nectar that emanates from my voice, hopefully. Mary votes for Joe with a heart emoji as well to drive it home. Jeff Reeder votes for Joe. So 2 more points for Joe. Risitano. Okay. Cheryl Riley votes for Joe as well. Julie Hall says all 3 had great points of view. Really close, but I'm voting for Rock Richards in this round. Rock gets another point. Brian says going with Joe. His deep research wins it. Psycho had many layers. Okay. So Rock and Joe get another one. Dakota says Jason has my vote. So 1 more point and vote goes to Jason London. Haley Huckabee votes for Jason London. 2 more points for Jason London. Gus, now I got your vote. Mr. Risitano, he hammered it straight to the point, finished in time of the fashion, mentioning the staircase kill was a great moment, and you showed it its importance, its place overall, and its place in the moments. Very good. Gus and Salmo read everything. Got your point right now as you voted for Joe Risitano. Stella Castellano says, Joe talked about what it made it influential. Jason talked about how it made him feel. And Rock, why it was mere influential. My vote goes for Rock Richards. Rock gets a vote on this one. Mindy votes for Joe Risitano over here. So back and forth affair. Lauren Smith says, Joe gets my vote. Okay. Andrew Red IV says, Jason gets my vote. Okay. Karen Price with her 3 points votes for Joe. Mary Lloyd votes for Joe. Jester Gambit says Joe wins. It's not a vote.
No.
I am one of those guys. I am sorry. You've got to be very exact and detailed. That's who I am. Let's make sure we make our vote official, guys and gals. Beverly Presley, I got your vote here. I think you said you were, let me pull this up, who you're voting for. Let's see what we got. Karen Calabretta, I'm trying to get yours as well. Guys, we're about to debate the second topic momentarily as we count this down. Okay, I believe I am missing maybe one or two. If I am, let me know now, and I will make sure I reserve your comments over here. Trixie says, I vote Jason. He said exactly what I was thinking. So Trixie Mitchelson votes for Jason London. Okay. No problem, Gus. No problem. We love you all. You're the engine that makes this thing go. We don't do this without you guys. That's true. We'd have great conversations, but we wouldn't be recording them if you weren't listening or watching. So thank you. Randy says, okay, Joe has my vote. Thank you, Randy. Appreciate you. All right. More votes. Jira Red votes for Rock Richards. Avi Klein Octopus working all day. Just 21 hours. Appreciate it. Brian Clark says, that's Sean Stasiak. Yes. Yes, he does, people. Yes, Sean's trademark there. Yes, he does. More on that later. We have Davis Jubilee voting for Mr. London. Mr. London. Thank you again, Gus. I appreciate that. Totally not about me. It's about these amazing competitors in this field who are really giving it your all, but thank you. Jester says, I vote for Joe Risitano. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Stasiak. I appreciate that. More and more comments coming down the pike. I concur. Great, strong arguments from all three men. Claire, I got your vote for Joe already, so don't worry about that. Guys, here's the tally. 37, 10, 9. So Jason London is in second place with 10. Rock Richards in third place with 9. As you can see, we count all your votes. We do it live because we want to be very fair, and that is how we do it. Again, guys and gals, the Celebrity Grand Debate Tournament, I got to tell you, 18 years of screenwriting for one of the best studios in the world. I've never done anything like this. This is why I do this. It's live. It's competitive. So many different elements. Wait till you see some of the mystery competitors coming down the pike as well. More Oscar winners, Hall of Famers. But guess what? It's not about the title of the person. It's about the person wearing the title. Jason London, Joe Risitano, Rock Richards, class acts, class personified. We're moving on to the second round. Kara does vote for Rock, so another vote for Rock Richards. Bob Cook says, I vote for Joe. It was about the influence, and Joe tied it together best. Okay, so 2 more votes, one for Rock and one for Joe. Julie says, I vote Rock Richards. So another vote for Mr. Rock Richards. Lee Thistleweight, don't know what I'm voting for, but just because I vote for Mr. London. Okay. Interesting. Okay, guys and gals, right now we are going to begin with round number 2. Again, let's tally this up. Jason London and Rock Richards are tied at 11. Why does that matter? First of all, they can make a comeback and win and get that top spot. But even if they don't get that top spot, the second person also moves on to round number 2 with a brand clean slate, a brand new slate in round number 2. So there you go. Guys, we're going to discuss round number 2 right now, and let me bring up the topics. The topic is greatest heavy metal band of all time. The human brain responds to music in fascinating ways. Many people may identify music as a form of emotional expression, or even more personally, as an extension of themselves. Music can also be tied to specific moments, both good and bad. But when it comes to heavy metal, there tends to be many misconceptions. But science may point to some significant mental health benefits. Is heavy metal good for your mental health? The answer is yes. Metal is typically described as loud, energetic, sometimes with vocals that are shouted and screamed as well as sung. And if you love the way that sounds, this unique music genre can positively impact your mental health. It's typical for metal songs to pair emotional lyrics with a genre's hallmark larger-than-life sound. Listening to metal can help provide an outlet for processing intense emotions such as anger. It can also relieve stress. Good for me because I'm a Knicks fan. For metal lovers, this high level of energy can help provide an emotional release, and listening to metal music can benefit both your body and mind and may even help your immune system, according to over 5,000 different studies on the matter. So, guys, in this particular round, Mr. Rock Richards will start first. Mr. Jeremy London will go second.
Excuse me?
Jason.
Yes, just Mr. London.
I'm Jason.
Did I say, I am so sorry. And and I pride myself on never doing that ever, but I just did.
It's not the first time, pal. Don't worry about it.
It's not the first? Okay, my fault. Guys and gals, guess what? When Jason London and I start our new show, there'll be 10 minutes at least where I allow Jason, while I'm muted, to insult the ever-living hell out of me and mispronounce my name. Totally okay. I promise you.
First off, you can confuse me for my brother. It's not an insult, so no problem.
I appreciate that. And Jeremy's a dear friend, and I love him, and he's part of this network. And guys and gals, again, just to let you know, Jason London, again, part of this new network, two totally different people, two totally different individuals who have amazing careers. I do not ever link two people together. Jason is a man of his own. And again, Freudian slip, we're here live. That's what happens sometimes.
No, it's all good, man.
Guys and gals, Rock Richards will make a case for Metallica as the greatest heavy metal band of all time. Jason London will make a case for Black Sabbath. Will make a case for Led Zeppelin as the greatest heavy metal band of all time. And Joe Risitano will make a case, guys and gals, for Black Sabbath as the greatest heavy metal band of all time. So with that, guys and gals, let's continue on over here. Let's make sure there's no other votes for the last round. No, I think we got everybody. So, Mr. Richards, if you're ready, take it away in a 3, in a 2, in a U.
All right, guys. Metallica. It's a band formed in 1981, originally founded by two members, Lars Ulrich and James Hetfield. James's family was practiced something, I believe it was called Christian Science. This means that they don't believe in going to the doctors. They don't let their kids go to health class. But one thing that did happen was Hetfield actually went and took piano lessons, which he loathed, except for the fact that it gave him a little bit of a knowledge in music. Lars Ulrich, his father, was a pro tennis player, along with his grandfather. So he was actually, I believe, in Denmark and had a promising future in tennis. But he also had a love for rock and roll music, which eventually won out. So Hetfield started a couple bands, didn't really go anywhere. Lars Ulrich actually tries out for the band, and they're not really that impressed with his music, so they don't let him join. However, in the future, somehow, miraculously, without even having a song, Lars Ulrich gets a song on a compilation album, which he uses as this huge lure to get Hetfield and the rest of the guys to form a band with him, which they do. They eventually, and he reluctantly listens to the demo, but a gentleman by the name of John Zazula. Here's the demo. Of course, this guy, he loves it. He thinks this is the future of music. So he actually goes out and starts his own record label just to produce these guys' music. So he gives them 30 grand and he sends them to New York and they record their first album. Well, initially they pitch the album. They can't get anyone to buy it. No one wants to put this album in stores. And it is because the original artwork is a hand with a dagger coming up out of a toilet. And they were originally going to call the album Metal Up Your Ass. Well, I believe it was Cliff Burton who made a few off comments and then said about these producers, kill them all. And he always carried this hammer around everywhere that he went. He would renowned for just tearing stuff up with it. So the original album cover is a hand holding a red hammer with blood all over it. And they renamed the album Kill 'Em All. So it gets put out, sells about 60,000 copies. We're not talking about any type of commercial success here, but establishes that these guys can actually make pretty good music. It wasn't until the third album, Master of Puppets, when these guys actually start seeing some commercial success. But where the band becomes big, where they really make their name, is with the album And Justice for All. Now, they get their first nomination. Best, what is it? Best hard rock metal performance. They think they got it in the bag. Who else can beat these guys? I mean, they're the first. They performed at the Grammys. They're on the side of the stage, and guess who wins the award? Jethro Tull. Hard to explain, but there it is. But that was okay, because later on in the future, you're talking about a band that won 9 Grammys from 23 nominations. They had 6 consecutive #1 albums debut on the Billboard 200. Okay. They sold over 125 million albums worldwide. In 2019, there was a study that said they sold 22.1 million tickets. They've performed in 48 countries. They performed on 7 continents. They sold like over $125 million in merch. And they are the top selling metal band for the last 40 years. And if that doesn't sell you, I don't know what will.
Rock Richards, guys, making a case for Metallica. Guys, again, I just want to remind you, in case you're missing or you haven't tuned in up until this very moment, earlier, Jason London and myself announced our brand new show. We'll be talking about a lot of things. I can't wait to ask Jason what it was like his first day on a movie set as they started unloading all the lights, the equipment. It became
Terrifying.
so real, so terrifying. But you got to admit, though, there's something cool about you working with old cameras, 35 millimeter, man.
I can't believe I got so lucky to be able to experience that with the old-fashioned everything, and it's really cool to have gotten to be a part of that.
We're going to talk about that experience, of course, because, again, guys, Jeremy London walked in wanting to do the acting thing. Jason London, of course, perhaps a little bit something else. We'll tease you. Won't let you know what that aspiration was at the time. But, man, oh, man, 2 incredible careers, 2 incredible gentlemen. This is going to be an amazing show with new artwork and a title coming down the pike very soon, which we'll announce right over here. Joe Risitano is chomping at the bit to rebut. So go ahead, rebut, my friend.
There are 2, technically 3 points that you could have brought up that actually would be very good to influence your argument. One specifically is that the first album, though not officially produced onto it, Dave Mustaine of Megadeth was one of the individual guitarists. As much as he was kicked out for his drug usage, that was one of the main factors that actually pushed them and that first recording to get the recognition it got. 2, the significance of why Master of Puppets afterwards into And Justice for All was so significant was because of the fact that Cliff Burton, their bus accident during touring, had just passed away, and that was one of the biggest parts of the band, including how it got into how Injustice for All was produced, which 3, technically, despite the fact that Jason Newsted, I will say, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to do middle finger, had not the best fit and produced with them, the reason why it went down in infamy was because of the fact that they had taken down the bass part because of the fact that Lars could not hear.
Rebuttal. 10 seconds. Rock, do you want to respond to that?
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, Dave Mustaine went off to form Megadeth. You're talking about Metallica with one of the big 4, which was Slayer, Megadeth, Metallica, and Anthrax. And they really created this genre of what they termed thrash metal.
Okay, guys, Rock Richards and Joe Risitano going at it right now. Guys, again, right now we're going to kick it over to Mr. Jason London, who will make a case as well. But before we do so, I just want to let you know again, a great show coming down the pike. We will mention the title. We might even talk about the people of Bulgaria. You fell in love with them, didn't you?
I did.
Can't wait to talk about that, guys and gals. But right now we're talking about the Grand Debate Tournament, and we are talking about Jason London making a case for Led Zeppelin as the greatest heavy metal band of all time. Are you ready, sir?
Well, like I said, I'm not an encyclopedia like these guys, so I don't come in locked and loaded with tons of like stats and facts and all that. All I can do is once again kind of go off of how did it make me feel and those kind of things. And I started playing guitar whenever I was about, I don't know, 11, 12 years old, but it was back, in Oklahoma, and you played like the same 3 country chords, that kind of thing. And then as soon as I started getting to listen to a little more rock and roll and things like that, getting to hear Zeppelin for the first time, and my mom was all about it, and so was my dad. They were like, you gotta, listen to these guys, fantastic. And I immediately went to the guitar store and got all of the books on how to play certain things. Of course, when you're first starting, that is not really the greatest starter's book to do, but I learned how to play quite a few of their songs fairly early on, and just that's what they've been such a great influence on me. And I like the other bands that you guys are talking about. It's just I'm kind of going on, especially when it comes to rock and roll. I kind of go on what's your style. And sort of thrash metal has always given me an incredible amount of anxiety. I'm way more of the soundtrack than Dazed and Confused, And there's another one too. This is kind of a layup for me, anyways, because of, if you just, the movie Dazed and Confused. Thank you, everybody. It was great, but it was the soundtrack that was great. But the song Dazed and Confused, if you just close your eyes and when that kicks in, exactly the song that it is, and you know what's coming. And it was to me is the greatest lead in for incredible dramatic leads, along with Pink Floyd and a few other bands that just had, you had Jimmy on the guitar just creating magic. And then and in my opinion, the greatest rock and roll, perfect rock and roll voice was Robert. And I think that, and his voice is great now. The stuff that he's doing now, he's getting older, is really cool. But when he had that sort of high pitch, that thing that he had, that sort of beautiful whine that he had to his voice, and those guys, and I love all the footage from back in the day when you could tell those guys were toasted. It's really great. That's what I love about him in Woodstock or whatever, is watching them. Those guys, who knows how much acid those guys were on all of there, but and so Joe Cocker's performance changed me and everything. But getting back to Led Zeppelin, they are the influence for all the other bands that most people talk about, and the movie, the influence that they've had on so many people, and in a way to sort of get nostalgic. It was like, for me, it reminds me of when I first moved to Los Angeles, and it was sort of the soundtrack to me driving. I'm a country kid, and I moved to Los Angeles, and this was before GPS. We had a thing called the Thomas Guide back then, and you had to find your way around, and it was pretty scary being a country bumpkin in a city like that. So that was sort of my soundtrack in my car when I was going from place to place, and it got me there. So as far as influential goes, for me, that is by far the most influential. I always say that it's like, if it's one of the bands that you're sick of hearing, that means it's because they're that great. And so it's like, whenever they're on, I don't flip the radio off of the channel because I don't like them anymore. It's because I want to keep loving them, because it's real saturation sometimes. So, hey, that's me. These guys are amazing. Oh, we have a
guys and gals.
Sorry, I have. Hold on here. I've got an alarm on the phone here. Okay, there we go. All right.
There we go. Can you hear us, Jason?
Yeah, and I think Zeppelin had an influence on everything across the board, even hip hop, everything else. So that's
I want to bring this up. I want to bring this up as well, guys, before we continue. Jason, can you hear me?
I can.
A lot of people get lost when they think about the meaning of what Dazed and Confused was. It wasn't supposed to be about drugs. It's about growing up. And there must have been something happening right after that film, because every script you get sent a couple of months would have even sometimes marijuana included. They thought you were Randall. And I guess your agent had his hands full for a while disposing of a lot of weed, so to speak.
Yeah, he told me that, because this was William Morris, and he said that, there was a certain period of time when people would just send it in the mail. He would have to go through the mail, of course. And so there were a lot of the guys that worked in the mail room that were very, very happy. So I guess I definitely didn't take it. I'm not going to take something somebody sent me in the mail. But,
absolutely, guys and gals.
Those dudes didn't give a crap.
No.
They were like, yeah, we got Jason London tweet.
Right, right. And again, that's one of the jobs that the agents have to do. I got sent a work from my literary agent that I looked at. Within 2 pages, I said no. Within 2 minutes, I called him, and my agent said yes. I said no. He won, and I said yes. That's it. Sometimes, guys, you got to pay the bills no matter what, but you got to make the best out of each experience. You've worked with some of the greats. Robert Englund, of course, who's become a good friend of yours, working with him. You also worked with Robert Carradine. Did you ever get tempted to ask him to do the Lewis laugh?
No, yeah, I didn't. It was interesting. We were in the same movie. I believe it was a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
But we didn't really have any scenes together. So I got to have a group of us had dinner a couple of times, and I got to hang out with them then. So yeah, it wasn't really the appropriate time to
but
do
there was
that.
a curiosity.
But I do remember that laugh. It was genius.
Yeah, there was.
I've gotten to work with a lot of people. That it's really hard to not ask them to do something from their film or whatever. I get it.
Absolutely, absolutely. But again, guys, what we're trying to do here again is remind you guys that you're the engine. You guys vote. There's a snippet here as you're catching between each segment of Jason and I talking about our upcoming show. We'll announce it later at a date live here on the Green Room, and more on that later, guys and gals. Once again, the Grand Debate Tournament continues right off the bat. Jason London, Joe Risitano, and Rock Richards. Joe will make a case for why he thinks Black Sabbath is, of course, right now, the, and forevermore, most and greatest heavy metal band of all time. Joe, are you ready to go?
I am ready to go.
In a 3, and a 2, and a U.
So Tony Iommi, the guitarist for Black Sabbath, before he had auditioned and created Black Sabbath, was working in a sheet metal factory. And having had this moment where he was about to join a band, he thought, you know what? I'm going to get success. I'm going to be the guy that makes this thing work. And so he puts in his 2 weeks without any context of how good this band's going to be. And he goes back to his home for lunch. And he's just enjoying his time. And his mom looks at him and says, "Why are you here right now? Like, what's the deal with you?" And Tony says, "Well, I put in my 2 weeks, I'm fine." And she says, "You get back to that factory and you finish your shift." So he goes in, and as soon as he gets in, the guy who's there that's supposed to run this large sheet metal machine that's a press hadn't arrived when was a complete no-show. So they told Tony, "Hey, you got to be the one that's going to run that machine." And so as soon as he goes to run it, as he puts his hands into the machine, the press comes down on his 2 fingers, his middle and ring finger. And in that moment, as he pulls back, he pulls the ends of his fingers off. Told by the doctors after that he would not be able to play music again, ever. You shouldn't even look into it. And at that moment, he fashions himself some pieces of soap and some leather, and he makes little finger caps for himself so he can continue to play those chords anyway. And that is where the start of this comes from, of how someone in the worst of situations makes it into something better. And that is what you can see from all of Black Sabbath's career in general as a heavy metal band. Starting off with the lineup, you have Ozzy Osbourne as their main singer, who instead of conventional singing had a creepy wail. And you start off with him always introducing himself with outfits similar to Led Zeppelin, where he just had an automatic presence that could glow the room. Then you have Geezer Butler, who is playing very similarly a very thumpy bass, which in the case of the Encyclopedia Britannica, with what they define as heavy metal, it's loud music, vocals that are harsh, thumping bass, and dark lyrics. And man, did they have a ton of those. But then we got Bill Ward on the drums, who for his drumming in Creation, he put his drums kind of almost sideways to make this trash can effect. So for their song, Children of the Grave, they immediately start with to kind of give all of us like this very paranoid effect to their music. With his start, from that start there, their first 6 albums were hit after hit after hit. They tried lowering after the second album. On their third album is where they got darker, because Tony's fingers from that accident connecting hurt so much. So they tuned it down a half step to go even darker on volume 4, which is where they brought in even more dark messages, Snowblind, Supernaut. And at this point, Ozzy constantly was taking drugs and drinking, to where they got to their 6th album. They decided, we can't have you keep doing this. And so by album 8, because of how things work, and you'll see, they just let him stay there, kind of like the ex that they just couldn't let go from that moment. So after their 8th album is finally when they sacked him and brought in, from fresh off of Rainbow, Ronnie James Dio. And Ronnie James Dio was already well versed in such things as how to influence and vocalize, similar to Robert Plant. But at this time, he was more operatic in his approach. So where Ozzy Osbourne had a creepy wail that he used to influence himself, this point, Ronnie James Dio brought in the fantasy genre. So till that point, all they had was doom metal and sludge metal. And Ronnie brought in fantasy, knights, armor, the glory of battle. And then he brought in the mob rules, where if you listen to Fools, the mob rules. And that was the mentality that they went with. And they created the speed metal genre with the fast pace, and even took from it the gallop from Iron Maiden, which you would think wouldn't work with someone that started out bluesy, but they made it work. And from the
2 minutes.
2 minutes. And from there, they had went through several singers. They went through Rudy Gillian and Glenn Hughes, both from Deep Purple, so heavy metal gods. And then finally landing on Tony Martin, who was a no-name himself, brought the band back into fame with their music and created a larger scape where they became more reflective of their nature. And finally, it went right back to Ozzy. And it started where it went, with Doom, Gloom, Rain, and Church Bells, and established a lot of themes that went from forgiveness of fathers, or the hatred of fathers, to how to encounter death, and the realization that nothing is ever more that simple. That's my time.
Joe Risitano, guys. So round 2 is officially over. We have one more round to go. Jason, I want to bring this up as well. Again, teasing some of our audience members for our first episode and some of the topics that we will delve deeply into. One of the things I like about you and your brother, Jeremy, both Jason and Jeremy, come from humble beginnings. Again, wearing Walmart Rustlers instead of Wranglers. Kids making fun of you for wearing Payless shoes, right? I mean,
that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. You sure did.
Yes.
And that's why
you
Hollywood
obviously talked to Jeremy.
No, I didn't. I do my research, my friend. I do my research.
Oh, right on. Yeah.
You got to talk to Jeremy about me, is what you got to do, Jason.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's a very humble beginning too.
And I like that because, again, being down to earth, it's something that comes across, guys and gals, on screen here as we're looking at Jason London, and of course Jeremy as well. You can tell 2 individuals who do this because they love it, but nothing Hollywood about them. Guys and gals, there's a lot of Hollywood going on over here because there's drama. There's anticipation. We're all waiting to see who wins this round. So let's bring in the judges as I zip my lip. Howard Collado, who do you vote for in this round and why?
Oh, man, I love this topic. Amazing job, Avi. This spoke to me on many levels. But in terms of being objective, Rock Richards, I needed to hear the fact that Metallica took punk and took the new wave of British heavy metal and kind of merged them to make their sound. I needed to kind of hear that. Joe Risitano, I have a question for you. Do you know who Django Reinhardt is?
Django Reinhardt, I actually do not, but I keep hearing him brought up with Black Sabbath.
Okay, because you did hit the fingertip story, which is awesome. But what also influenced Tony was Django Reinhardt, who is a jazz musician who also I think he was also missing 2 fingers. That became influential. Ultimately, I'm going to vote for Jason. I love how you talked about playing these songs and how that knowing these notes and how they influenced you as well as a kid.
Yes.
You
I have my guitar. I can play it for you right now.
Hey, Bobby, you know what I mean?
NSG?
Yeah.
After this match, it's up to Jason. It's up to Jason. Guys. Howard?
Hey. And you personalized it with you said if you close your eyes, you could hear how the emotional impact of Dazed and Confused just hits you with what that song's about. And lastly, driving in your car, listening to the soundtrack of Zeppelin, that was amazing. So, thank
Howard
you.
Coletto.
Thank you very much.
Howard Coletto. Our judges, awesome. Thank you guys for taking notes and listening as well. We appreciate you wholeheartedly. Let's bring in John Red right now and see who he votes for and why.
Hey, Avi, before I vote, I'd like to ask Joe Risitano if he could tell me how many #1 albums did the Black Sabbath have, and also how many Grammys did they win?
At least 6 #1s from what I have researched, but the Grammys I do not know.
Okay. So I'm going to go with Rock Richard. A lot of times in sports and stuff, we talk about the hardware, the championships. That's what everything's judged on. I'm going to go give my vote to Rock Richards because he did talk about the Grammys, the consecutive #1 albums, and all the ticket sales. 3 points for Rock Richards in this one.
John Red votes for Rock Richards. Let's bring in Pete Sharpie and see who he votes for and why.
Hey everyone, 3 great bands that were influential throughout the years, but I believe, and Jason London brought this up, that Led Zeppelin was very influential with people, not just because of the music. They were very diverse in their music, which had led more people to like them. But Jimmy Page, a great guitarist, people loved him and influenced Jason himself to play guitar. So here you go, Jason gets my vote.
Jason London gets a vote from Pete Sharpie, guys and gals. Jason London now is in second place to Joe Risitano. I will read the votes momentarily, but let's bring in more of our judges. Let's bring in Giselle. Who do you vote for and why?
Mr. London, I very much enjoy how you are personalizing all of the topics tonight as we are getting to know you, and I liked how you started talking about how Led Zeppelin influenced hip-hop later in the argument, but it wasn't quite enough for me. Mr. Risitano, you gave me a lot of the history of Black Sabbath, how they were formed, but you didn't connect it to what makes them so great overall as a band. Mr. Richards, you gave me the history of the band as well as a lot of their accolades. My vote is going to Mr. Richards this round.
Okay, another vote for Rock Richards, guys. I will read what we have now. Joe Risitano with 38 points / votes. Jason London with 17. Rock Richards with 17. So Rock and Jason are tied. That second place spot, whoever does make it out of this thing in second place will advance along with first place, but still much more to go. Eric Heron, who do you vote for and why?
Talk about 3 bands that speak to my life. I love each one of them. Sabbath, Zeppelin, Metallica, but we're talking about the greatest metal band of all time, not necessarily the most influential or the most personable. So that being said, there's been no metal band in history to win award after award after award after award as Metallica. There's been no band in history to get #1 after #1 after #1 after #1 like Metallica. They created a sound all of their own. They created a sound that Megadeth followed, that Anthrax followed, that a lot of the metal bands of today, and I fact check me if you want, Metallica was 81, Megadeth's 83. Fact check me. I dare you, Joe. I see that look. So that being said, I'm going to say Rock Richards, 3 points, my friend. Well done.
Eric the Beard Heron votes for Rock Richards. Okay, 3 points for Rock Richards right now. Let's bring in Megan and see who she votes for and why. If I could do this right here. Here we go.
So I think that everyone, again, made really good points. Joe, I really enjoyed the story because I don't know very much about any of these bands and their history. I think you also did mention a lot about what they influenced, the different types of metal that they basically created and influenced. Jason London, I really enjoyed the personalization. Again, I really like the story about how you listened to it, how it affected you. It was like going on a little bit of a journey, which was really nice. But similar to what Eric said, like I try to, as a judge, pay attention to what the round title is, and this round title is greatest metal band of all time, not most influential. And because of that, I also thought that Rock Richards brought up not only the history, but then he brought up the actual accolades that the band made. And at the end, he even said that it's the top selling metal band in the past 40 years. And neither of the other gentlemen could refute that. And in fact, Joe's rebuttals kind of happened to help Rock's topic a little bit in bringing them up. So I'm going to go with Rock Richards for this one.
Quite the turnover from Metallica early on, of course. Dave Mustaine getting booted out. Of course, the tragedy that happened to Cliff Burton, one of the greatest of all time. Guys and gals, you're looking at three amazing debaters. Speaking of great, Jason London, Joe Risitano, and Rock Richards. So all of your votes now. We're going to pull up all of your votes. And again, 2 wildcard voters are in the comment section now. Karen Price and Chad TK and Superfan. So let's see who you vote for and why as we continue tallying all these votes. Phil says without Sabbath, there is no heavy metal. Joe has my vote. Okay. Cedric's votes for Joe as well. So 2 points go to Joe Risitano. Evelyn Hesterly says Joe has my vote. So that's another vote for Joe Risitano. Julie Hall says not a metal band enthusiast, but completely on the responses to me, Jason London brought the personal touch. So my vote goes to Jason London. Jason gets a vote, guys and gals. A lot on the line over here. Pride in the prize. Who are the 2 that will advance to round 2? Julie says my vote goes to Jason London. Music about how it makes you feel. He explained how he closed his eyes and listened to how the music influenced him to feel. Very detailed votes here. We appreciate all of your comments because you guys are not shortchanging anyone. Karen Calabretta votes for Joe. So Joe gets a vote. Mel Red says my vote is for Jason. He really spoke to me on this topic. Dakota Benson says everyone knows Joe is the way to go. Joe gets my vote. Okay. Jester Gambit, without Sabbath, we don't have metal at all. Joe gets my vote. Okay. So another vote for Joe. Andrew Red IV votes for Rock Richards. All right. I'm scrolling up here live. A few that I missed. Randy says Rock has my vote. Sunshine says votes got to go to Joe Risitano on this one. Okay. Mindy votes for Joe as well. Chris votes for Rock Richards. Okay. Let's bring up more votes if we can as we are doing this live, guys and gals. Trixie says, I vote Jason with a capital Jason. He's not only a gentleman, but a scholar. I love that he's so personable. Not only was Zeppelin on English band, but they were formed in London. There you go. I see what you did there.
That's right.
I appreciate that. Appreciate that. Guys and gals, a lot of great comments. Man, our viewers are so intelligent. I love that. Mary Lloyd says Joe has my vote. Lola Lloyd. I never know. Why does Lloyd have 2 L's? We got to discuss that one. Hey, Jason, this is a good chance as any to ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Why do certain Gregs have 2 G's at the end of their first name?
I have. That's like you just said with that one. I don't know.
Does it bother you?
I don't know. It's maybe they have a cousin named Greg, but he's like, I'm the one with 2 G's.
Are they showing off?
He's Greg with 1 G, and I'm Greg with 2 G's.
Are the ones with 2 G's bragging?
I don't know.
Is it a possibility? Is it a possibility?
He's like, I've got 1 more G than you do, so I get ice cream first.
Yeah. They annoy me is what I'm saying. I'm trying to say that they do annoy me. Guys and gals, again, Jason London and myself, yours truly, Avi Klein, part of an incredible network. We're going to keep it real and give you a great show. We'll announce that show, Jason and I, in the coming weeks, of course. Brian Clark is voting. Great storytelling. Sabbath was named MTV's greatest metal band of all time. Joe gets the vote. Mindy McNine votes for Jason London on this one. Lauren Smith votes for Joe. Okay. Adam Jeffrey Hesterly, a lot of syllables there, votes for Joe, who has 1 syllable and 3 letters in his name. We have more. Let's see what else we have over here. Rock Richards gets Gus Anselmo's vote. With absolute confidence, as a Metallica fanatic, a member of the 5th member community, and historian of the band, you hit the nail on the head. My dude, calling it back to the metal up your well. You know, Dazed was excellence, makes me want to bust out No Life to Leather demo. Gus Anselmo votes for Rock Richards.
For my eyes.
Karen Price, with her 3 points, votes for Joe Risitano. Another one over here, a little lengthy. Sean Stasiak says, Rock Richards had a great story and case made for Metallica, love Metallica. Jason had just a great authentic connection and story, personal experience with Led Zeppelin, but got to go with Joe on this round too. He just had a great laid out history, story, influence, and delivery of why Black Sabbath was / is the best heavy metal band in history. Yes, he did, Avi. Sean Stasiak votes for.
Thank you.
Joe Risitano. A lot of votes here. Let's go more. Let's go more. Peyton Azevedo votes for Joe. Thank you very much. Mary
hi.
votes for Joe. Okay. So, guys, Claire Shields also votes for Joe. Eric, thank you for tallying everything in the back. I know there's a lot
Joe
of votes.
gets my vote now, too.
Yeah, I was going to say this is turning into a battle for second place.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, second place gets into that second round. Rock, how important is it for you to get into that second round? Pride in the prize.
Well, I would have liked to go out on top of both competitors, but it's one of them things where you get in any way you can, and I mean, second place, if that gets me to the dance, hey, so I'll take it.
Rock Richards,
there's
guys,
a lot on the line here.
Been on the green room for such a long time. Mindy McNine Red, Speedy Klein, thank you. Auctioneer, I don't really want to do that. I do like the guy in Storage Wars if he's still around. Okay, Fred Altman says, Joe, great job, Joe. That's not a vote, but thank you, Fred Altman, for joining us. Davis Jubilee votes for Rock Richards. Joe Risitano, it's not the time to rebut me, please.
Oh, no.
Gina Marie is adding 7 G's to the name Greg.
Oh,
thank you very much for that. I think Kara J votes for Jason London. Jason London gets another vote, and Jason Cox votes for Rock Richards. So 2 straight votes. Bob Cook, although Led Zeppelin is my favorite, I vote for Rock based on how the debate was presented. Thank you, Bob, for that comment. We appreciate that wholeheartedly. We are now going for Chad and his 3 points. All I can say is Joe just nailed so many facts and knowledge about Black Sabbath. I think he almost covered everything and hit on this in rebuttal. But Metallica and Zeppelin are amazing bands, and both Rock and Jason fought hard. But I'm voting for Joe. I'm a Judas Priest fan. Aren't we all? And I appreciate the vote. 3
Yes.
points go to Joe. Johnny McKinney votes for Rock Richards. So many votes over here. Jeff Reeder votes for Jason London on this one. And Cheryl Riley also votes for Jason London on this topic, guys and gals. I think we have a few more, and then we'll move on to the last round, guys. We're almost out of here with this particular debate. Right now, we are at 59 for Joe Risitano, 31 for Rock Richards, 23 for Jason London, but we're not done. We are not done, guys and gals. Not by a long shot. Get ready for topic number 3. Yeah. All right, let's do that. So, guys, this is the way it's going to go. Jason London will begin this topic. We're rotating things every round. Joe will go second. Rock will go third. And let me read to you this third and final topic, guys. Right now, our third topic is famous last words. There's something powerful about reading famous last words, not because of the men or women who might have said them, simply because of their status, but why it resonated with us. Yeah, these men and women were well known and successful in life as writers, politicians, athletes, artists, and more. But though they have legacies that are larger than life, the one thing they all share, that everybody eventually shares, is death. What do you say to sum up a life well lived? Some choose funny words. Others more serious. Some are obscure. Princess Diana's last words were tragic, while Steve Jobs' last words were debated. Like reading Life is Short quotes on Life Quotes, filled with wisdom, famous last words remind us that life is indeed short, and we have to make the most of our time. These people made sure to make one more lasting impression on the world before they left it. But which of these words resonate with us most, and why? Jason London will make a case for why Leonard Nimoy's A Life is Like a Garden is so very impactful. When Jason is finished, we'll move over to Joe Risitano, who will make a case for Benjamin Franklin's last words, a dying man could do nothing easy. And then to wrap it up, Rock Richards will make a case for why Bob Marley's last words, money can't buy life, is so very impactful. Mr. London, are you ready?
Yes, I am, I think.
In a 3, in a 2, in a U.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, first off, to be sort of cognizant of the sort of reality and the finally face the fact that it's right around the corner and you're probably about to die, and to sort of be reflective and look back on what your life is, and to be able to, I think it's a beautiful words that life is like a garden, because I mean, if you think about it on just a base level of ashes to ashes, dust to dust, dirt to dirt, that kind of thing is you can't have a garden without a dirt, and you can't have a garden without a seed. You can't have a life without a seed, and you can't have, hold on there, sorry, you can't have life without a seed to start that life. And how beautiful your garden is depends on how beautiful you treat it, and how beautiful you love it, and how beautiful you take care of it. And I think that has very much to do with us on a personal level, whether it's dealing with addictions or whether it's dealing with emotional issues or whatever it might be. It's up to us to cultivate what the final outcome is. And do you want just a little herb garden, or do you want like one of those really big, beautiful gardens with stalks of corn and every kind of pepper on the planet, like my brother has? My twin brother Jeremy is the best gardener I've ever seen, and he's got there's so much life to it. And when you realize that a garden is something that is alive, and it's something that is dependent on you, the same way that the seed makes a child, and the seed makes the vegetables and whatever it is, the fruits and everything. How important that you cultivate that garden always. I remember going out and picking the snap peas with my grandma and my grandpa. They were, to me, they were really old back there when I was little. The joy that we got out of as a family, all picking the green beans together, and getting to be on the tractor with grandpa whenever he would till the garden or whenever he would till the fields and all that. And, me and being a twin, I was always on one side of him and Jeremy was always on the other side of him. And grandma would make us all little packed lunches to go out and, to get to drink soup from a hot thermos. You get to act like grandpa with his coffee. And so to me, it really is a nostalgic thing. I grew up with gardens and gardening, and it's just the perfect. It's a perfect metaphor for true life. I mean, it starts from the dirt, and it goes to a seed, and it goes to the growth, and it depends on how you cultivate it, how much you love it, on how it grows. And that's that.
From the heart, I just want to say this to Jason and to everyone here competing. Thank you, because you guys are lending us your heart and your soul and your mind, and you're doing it live. And I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
That was a good one. That was a good one. Thank you for giving me that one. Like that.
No problem, Mr. Jason London, who has, of course, given us his final topic. Right now, guys and gals, famous last words is the final topic. We kick it over to Mr. Joe Risitano, who, again, will follow Jason London. Joe will make a case for why Benjamin Franklin's last words, "A dying man can do nothing easy," is so very impactful. Are you ready, Joe?
I am ready, sir.
In a 3, in a 2, in a...
I'm gonna change my lighting real quick. In researching this, you think so superficially of some people sometimes, like Ben Franklin creating the Franklin stove, making better ventilation for a stovetop, or Ben Franklin creating the lightning rod and how that even works with electricity. But then when you find out that Ben Franklin was someone that had to think outside of the box and make himself into someone more desirable to other people, not just this American innovator that was someone who maybe the technically best capitalist would think to themselves, that's the best life. That's a man that he created all these inventions, or maybe at least he was known for his support of the Declaration of Independence, even though he had his haters as well with his Pennsylvania Gazette, and even writing satires as other people to get his points across, kind of like you're saying, oh, well, this person said this about you, and you're thinking, really? Or did you just make that up? And he would do that through the means of other monikers. But then when you find out that he used his influence as this American icon to meet with people in France, specifically one Madame Brion, who was able to get him in with her connections and her enjoyment of this personality of Ben Franklin and how he had a strange and quick wit. He had this way where through her, he was able to meet with several other diplomats, which at this time was a big deal. And this was around 1778, where he was able to, through her, gain influence into a very gate-kept area where someone else was even sent from the British, Lord Stormont, to be a kind of a monkey in the wrench for Ben Franklin's plans to be this diplomat and spread that if you don't know us, you can't judge us as Americans, and be able to gain peace treaties with France so that they would also make sure that England couldn't affect them as highly or support any of their military efforts. So from that, which is a giant deal in its own, to 1778, he was able to make the Treaty of Alliance through 1778, and in 1783 was finally able to have the Treaty of Paris, which recognized America, North America specifically, as a place of its own, and also give the respect to that in trades as well. But then finally, the big one that puts over the saying, a dying man can do nothing easy, is that in the last months of his life, Ben Franklin fought against slavery. Didn't get to abolish it, but fought against it to make the point to give people who were debased by their position and were finally free, for those who were, the education and the resources to be people, to be able to hone their intelligence, to learn, to feel like just normal people and vote and live their lives. And as much as in that time he was faced by tons of opposition, in fact, he was told by one of the Jacksons, that I believe it was James Jackson, who was very much for slavery at the time, that he was senile and an old fool for trying to go into abolishing slavery, and especially at this time with the cause of the 1790s. He was at his odds, but he at least got it pushed over to where it would be discussed, even though I will say he did publish an article as a Muslim dignitary in that moment to push his point over, because Ben Franklin just can't let people have the last word whatsoever. He put out that a dying man can do nothing easy, and as much of a force as he was still at odds with himself and others. Thank you.
And he was quite the ladies' man, wasn't he?
The old America's founding flirt.
Benny Franklin. Yeah, good old Benny Franklin was absolutely quite the flirt, sure. Guys and gals, Rock Richards will have the final word right now. Famous last words. And this is also the last topic that will be debated, and the last individual debating the last topic will be Rock Richards, who will be making a case for why Bob Marley's last words, "Money can't buy life," is so very impactful. Rock, are you ready? In a 3, in a 2, in a U.
Well, Avi Klein, Scripture tells us that we're all born into sin, but the reality of the situation is we're all born into debt. I mean, from the day that you're born, your mother and father get a bill in the mail. From the time you cultivate this young mind and you send them to school, they're learning. And the reason why they're learning is to eventually, possibly to go off to high school, maybe even college, preparing them for what they're going to do for the rest of their life as their career. And so many things. I've heard it said that money is the root of all evil, but money is an inanimate object. Money is a mechanism. Money transports your work and your greatest efforts into the future. So you work today, you get paid next week. Your work cannot last longer than the day. So money is the conduit of man's desires. It's the way that we obtain the things that we want, and we spend our lives. We sacrifice our time. We sacrifice our family. We sacrifice our own health working to obtain all the things that we want. But in those final moments, when the end is near, when that cold, dark blackness stares you in the eyes, and you look behind you and you realize that all your stuff is in the past. when you're laying in that hospital bed and you're amassing a debt, all that money that you saved, that you thought you were going to do these great things with, it goes right back into the system. In fact, a lot of life itself is almost like financial slavery. This is what you dedicated your entire life to doing. But once the end is near, it's only then that you realize where the true value is. The once held value in this money is no more. And you realize that the one and only thing that you would trade every red cent you had for is more life. However, all the money in the world isn't going to buy you an extra breath.
Real value, guys. I teach a storytelling workshop. Joe, of course, is part of the Friday workshop. I got to say, before and after this moment, I'll look back at what we're doing now live and appreciate all three men for what they've given us through all three topics. That is a place that I call my heart because it comes from there. And I appreciate Jason London, Joe Risitano, and Rock Richards because, again, it's great to see individuals from different walks of life, different levels of experience, different objectives all come together to have fun and discuss topics that hopefully are meaningful, thought-provoking, and fun as well. Of course, Jason, Rock, and Joe did just that, which means now, guys and gals, it's all up to you. Who advances to round number 2? This is a competition. Pride in the prize. You heard Jason, you heard Joe, and you heard Rock. They all want to win this thing. 13 grand, nothing to sneeze at. Trip for 2 to Greece, 5 days, 5 nights. And, of course, the pride of calling yourself Mr., Mrs., or Miss TKN, depending on who wins this. So with that, let's bring in Howard Collado, and you will let us know who you vote for in this final round and why.
Joe, I could appreciate the homework you did behind your argument, and Rock, the quote also spoke to you, and you also made some great points. But my vote's going to go to Jason, and the reason being is that, Jason, you really connected the dots with the kind of the cyclical nature of life and how the garden becomes like this beautiful metaphor for our own life and how you have to cultivate it in order for us to have an enriching life. So you really connected that. And I could tell there's something you also felt very, very emotional about as well. So
yes.
Vote goes to Jason.
Thank you, Mr. Collado. Thank you very much. 3 points for Jason London, guys and gals. Let's bring in Pete Sharpie.
Everyone made some great points. Rock, you got me with Born into Debt. That had me thinking, money is the root of all evil. Sacrifices are always made for money, and you can't take money to the grave. You can't.
I never thought I'd hear you say those words, though. That's what's interesting to me, right?
I was born into money. It's something different. That's different.
I digress.
We're all not like me, Avi.
That's true.
Joe, great history on Ben Franklin, and Leonard Nimoy, Jason. Life is like a garden. Very profound statement. You brought up good points. A garden without seeds is not a garden. Can't have life without a seed. Life needs to be cultivated, which is very profound statements. These are, it hits differently. It hits you in the heart. And my vote goes to Jason.
Money doesn't buy eternity. Cecilia, thank you very much. Jason London gets 3 more points, guys and gals. Pete Sharpie has voted and has made it known that he's voting for Mr. Jason London. Okay. We're tallying all of that in the back. John Red, who do you vote for and why?
Great job, every one of you, man. Y'all really put it together, and it really makes my job hard on this last round. I'm going to go to Jason London. I, too, grew up around gardens, and you brought back a memory to me of my grandfather.
This brought it back for me, too. I was so glad to get to actually do that.
Being down on my hands and knees, and my grandmother showing me how to plant the seeds. And that's why I'm going to give you my 3 points.
John Red, guys and gals, again, speaking from an honest place, from the heart. There is no more honest place, hopefully, than the human heart. Let's bring in Megan, and she'll let us know who she's voting for in this final round and why.
Again, fantastic job, gentlemen, all of you. I would say this entire time, Jason, you've been, speaking from your heart and talking about how things resonate with you. And this particular topic really did resonate. As someone who also grew up, my dad was a gardener. I definitely can relate to that, as well as many other parts of my life, which go back to this, but tend to your garden. So I'm going to give these points to Jason.
Jason London, guys and gals, gets a vote from Megan. Very good. So, guys, we right now are going to read you where things stand officially. We now, as we check this tally, have Joe Risitano at 59 points, Jason London at 35 points, Rock Richards at 31 points. Top 2 advance, guys and gals. Thank you, Megan, again. Let's bring in Giselle. Are you ready?
I'm always ready, Mr. Klein.
Very good.
Especially because I'm Kate. Gentlemen.
Are you? Are you? More on that later.
More on that.
Which, speaking of which, guys and gals, second half of our show. You know what we do. Don't go anywhere. We blur lines. Keep it up here after the debate, guys and gals, as yet another genre of the green room will appear before you as we blur those lines honestly and openly. Go ahead, Giselle.
If you insist, very well then. Mr. Risitano, I very much enjoyed the delving into the history and accomplishments of one Mr. Franklin. I would have liked to have heard a little bit more of a connection between all of those accomplishments and his dying words. You were getting there right at the end, but it wasn't quite enough. Mr. Richards, you had very solid points in explaining how those dying words affected both Mr. Marley's life and our life throughout. Mr. London, as someone who did not grow up with a garden, I felt your passion. I felt your points. The personalization really worked for you in this round, cultivating and letting it grow, and coming from someone such as Leonard Nimoy just makes that all the more impactful for what he stood for and what he meant. My vote goes to Mr. London in this round.
Mr. Jason London gets 3 more points, guys and gals. So again, 59 for Joe. Jason has 35. Is it 38 now? Yeah, it's 38. And Rock has 31. So go, just like that. Jason London. Jason, how do you feel? You were down by about 9 points. Now, as it stands, if we're done at this point, which we're not, you'll also be in the second round. Your thoughts?
That's great. It's really cool. I think I got pretty lucky with getting to sort of talk about the comparison of life in a garden, and so for me that was kind of easy. I actually had a lyric in a song at one point that said I tried to water that garden, but it died too soon. So it's like it kind of reminded me of having to be responsible for, if you treat yourself the way you would a garden. Some people can't grow a flower, which I'm kind of bad about myself. But
there was a lot of personalization.
I can grow some beans and some potatoes. I could do that.
I could use some carbs and some starch after this show, guys and gals. Haven't eaten, but you did personalize, which is what I found.
This is making me hungry.
Yeah, guys and gals, we're gonna bring in Eric. I got all this garden talk. I want to eat. Eric Heron, guys and gals, is going to be up here next and voting for either Jason London, Rock Richards, or Joe Risitano.
Talk to you about that later. Listen, I was entranced by both Mr. London and Mr. Richards. Joe, your history on Mr. Franklin being what it is, awesome history lesson on Mr. Franklin. But as somebody said earlier, I couldn't connect the dots to his last words, how they were very influential. And it was a toss-up between you two. It really, really was, because Rock, you're 100% right. We're born in debt. We die in debt. I wish you would have said, when you die, your family takes over that debt, because they really do. And it just keeps going. It's cyclical. But that brings me to Mr. London. We are a garden. That's what life is. You're the seed, you sprout, and then they put you in the ground, ashes to ashes and such. So that being said, gentlemen, this was an excellent debate tonight. Mr. London, I thank you for coming out and joining us. And looking forward to you joining the network. And Rock, man, it's always great to see you. But tonight, I got to go Jason London at the very, very last.
Yeah, nice. I think we got the sweep there a little bit.
Eric Heron, guys, votes for Jason London. Was it a sweep of judges voting for Jason? Perhaps. Let's look right now at the tally, because Joe's at 59.
Oh, that's right, Joe. He's kicking butt.
We're fighting for second place here.
1 second, Joe. Jason, there's no rebuttal, my friend. We are done.
Oh, no, it's not that. It's about the review show.
You're already up. You're up by 75 points and you still want to rebut somebody?
No, I have 2 points from review show.
Look at this. Look at this. You're up by 96 points. Greedy. Didn't you hear all that stuff about not taking money to the grave? You greedy.
See, life's a garden, man.
Life's like a garden, and I gotta cultivate now.
You gotta dig it.
Enjoy your 61 points and eat a baked potato. Do me a favor, guys. Joe Risitano is at 61 points. Jason London not too far behind with 42. Rock Richards with 31. It is not over, guys. It is not over. Let's find out how this thing goes. Remember, the way the brackets work, because this is sort of an NCAA style elimination tournament. There are 2 spots open in round 2, which means that even though we've had a bevy of those who've lost, Todd Bridges has lost, a lot of credible individuals, Ken Patera, U.S. Olympian, we're still going to have a matchup that will allow 2 who've lost to get a chance to come back in for round number 2 one more time, sort of like a last resort to get back in this thing. That'll only happen after round 1. So we'll see how things happen. To advance tonight, I concur. Absolutely. Christopher, all 3 men did well. And this was such a hard topic, but my vote goes to Jason. He spoke from the heart and therefore made the better argument. Jason gets my vote. Another vote for Jason London. Jaleesa says, I miss Todd. Guys, Todd and I have a show called Way of the World, as you know, as part of the 60 shows on this network. Todd did great against Stephen Tobolowsky. Maybe he'll be back in this tournament. Who knows? Sunshine says, my vote is for Rock Richards this time. Great delivery. Love Jason's quote as well, though. Absolutely. Absolutely. Rock Richards, Jason, London, and Joe. I'm glad I'm not voting. You guys were awesome. So Julie votes for Jason London. Okay, got that. Bubba Brewer, thank you for joining us. Jason gets my vote. And Mindy Froley, I vote for Jason this time. My dad grew a huge garden when I was a kid, and it brought back so many memories. So, of course, Jason London, of course, what he described to a T resonated with the masses. We appreciate all of you being honest about that. Bob says, I vote for Jason as well. More votes to Jason. Brian Clark, really enjoyed Jason's storytelling. That brought back great memories for me personally, and I see you down there voting for him as well. So another vote for Jason London, and Randy Pritchard votes for Rock Richards. Jason Cox votes for Rock Richards. 2 more votes for Rock. Blake Cabanis votes for Jason London, and Jeff Reeder votes for Jason London, as does Hauser Odalock. I vote for Mr. London, a beautiful balance between personalization and philosophical implications of the quote. Thank you, Hauser Odalock. Dakota Benson says, Jason gets my vote. I felt his words so deeply. Excellent debate. Jason, Rock, and Joe, starting with Jason. Really quick, what do you think of our viewers? Huh? So much passion. Huh? It's great to see that.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it. It's incredible, intelligent responses, and you can tell that they're really listening and paying attention. It's really fantastic.
100%. Very attentive. Yeah. Jaleesa says, Jason made great points. So another point/vote goes to Mr. Jason London. Let's scroll up and see what else we have over here, because this right now is the 11th hour. It's the final topic that will determine who advances and who does not. Jester Gambit says, I got to go Jason London. I vote for Jason. Cliffhanger. Okay. Julie Hall says, great topics. Great points from all gentlemen. Difficult, but vote goes to Jason London. Heartfelt answers. Another vote for Jason London. Sean Stasiak. Let me take a deep breath. Wow, deep. Reality perspective from Mr. Richards. Appreciate the deep insight and message. Truly, Joe with another tutoring history lesson, just as well laid out and delivered. So thank you, Joe. But Jason won my heart and vote on this one. Just really felt personal experience and storyline and emotional, authentic connection he had with me throughout the screen. Congratulations to all gentlemen. You all did really well. Thank you. And Sean, I am not making fun of your comments. I'm simply trying to read them because they are intelligent and not long-winded. You do not shortchange us. Thank you very much. And you did vote for Jason on this one. He did win your heart, as you said. So Jason London gets yet another vote. Very good. We have more, and more. John Red. No, I think I got your vote already. Who do we have here? Chad. I won't make a speech, LOL, but I vote for Jason this round. Great job, gentlemen. Thank you, Chad. Thank you so much for all of your votes. 3 points, because Chad is our wild card voter. Gus Anselmo was very tough to go this round. I'm going to say I respected Jason London's points the most here. With his efforts, he put all above and beyond impressive this round. This is the first time I had voted someone different all 3 rounds. Who are you voting for? I didn't get the vote. I guess you're voting Jason London, but I not officially. Trixie Mitchelson says, I vote Jason. Gus, you were right close, right to just saying who you're voting for. All right, who else do we got? We got Stella Castellano. Man, I really almost teared up when Jason presented his points. Absolutely. Very heartfelt and honest. My vote goes to Jason. I cannot have these shades on my face after this round. I can't do these men a disservice. It's hard. Let's see. My vote goes for Jason, according to Jaleesa. Hope you get it. I did get it right now, so we are going to tally that. Thank you so much for that. as we keep this thing going. Cecilia, Jason, voting for him, speaking from his heart. Okay, really cool. I think we're just about done. I believe we're done. So I'm going to see if I missed anything. I don't believe I did. Let me read you the final tally. Oh, my God. This is incredible. So get this. Jason London with 64 points in the lead. Joe Risitano with 61. And Jason, if you click private chat, you can tally all these, man. They're right here. 64 points. You killed this round, essentially. You got a ton of them.
That's crazy.
That's
Jason
a come
London,
from behind
who was in third place. That means anything could happen in this tournament. As you can see, we're counting them fairly, guys. This is live.
Yes.
You see the names
That's
pop
very
up.
Cool. Wow.
Jason London was third.
You guys
Jason
are
London
amazing,
was
man.
third.
You guys are amazing. So I didn't think I had a chance in it. That's great.
I'm gonna count things down and make it official, guys. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and a 1. Guys and gals, with a grand total of 64 points, Jason London is the top vote getter and will advance to round number 2 of the Celebrity Grand Debate Tournament, featuring over 10 Hall of Famers, Oscar winners, and of course Academy Award. Guys, we got everything that you can imagine. Legends, champions. Joe Risitano with 61 points moves on as well to round number 2. Rock Richards, who I give credit to. Rock Richards, incredible points, incredible passion. You are a Green Room original, and I love what you did, man. Rock, you are awesome. I'm glad I'm not debating you, Rock. So there is no third place here, as far as I'm concerned. You did great.
I mean, Avi, you know, what can I say? I brought all I had, and I mean, so did these guys. I was really intrigued at first to see, like, Jason was really getting personal with everything, not so much focusing on the facts like me and Joe. And I was wondering how that was going to play out, but I mean, as we saw, the he came from behind and literally took over first place with this tactic. I mean, it was. You know, I got nothing to be ashamed of. I know that, but man, congratulations! Congratulations to these guys. It's been an honor to share the screen with them, and you know, I'm certainly not leaving here with my tail between my legs.
No, sir.
Not at all, Rock Richards. I'm going to actually have you hang out in the back for a moment, Rock. So don't leave just yet, if you can. Rock Richards, guys and gals. Joe. I'm going to kick it over to Jason London momentarily, but congratulations, Joe, on being in round number 2. Jason, your thoughts on Joe and Rock from what you've seen today?
Man, those guys had me nervous, man, because they came locked and loaded with all this information, and you know, I'm not as familiar with the sort of the platform as everybody else was, but so
right,
no, you're good.
It just happened to be like some subjects that really were close to my heart before you ever even brought them up to me. So. To me, I just kind of went on what my knowledge of them is. I couldn't tell you who the cinematographer is of this or that, or I couldn't tell you, for a lot of things, or I couldn't tell you who it, but it's about, you know, the personal experience, and, you know, getting to, I guess, a little of an advantage is getting to sort of make films like that for people, and getting, when you see the effect that something that you do has on other people, that's the reward of all of it. That's the big reward.
I love that you said that. I'm so happy that our viewers and audience get a chance to have their voice being heard, and I'm so happy.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys, seriously, thank you.
And again, everything resonated with you, and thank you for being so giving as well and open about certain topics. Of course, they came from the heart, which is an honest place. Guys, yes. Jason London is in round number 2, and we might see Jason in a few weeks to announce our show. Of course, we will. We'll have a title and artwork as well. Jason, one last question before you depart, and it has nothing to do with Greg's or baked potatoes or anything like that. I promise. But what happens if you draw Jeremy London in round number?
I've already thought about that, and we definitely have a long history of arguing with each other, so it might be a lot of fun. Yeah, you know, like he's probably going to come in a lot more locked and loaded with like factoids and shit like that, like those guys had. Sure. I'm just going to have to kind of use my, what do we call it, my tactic? I'm going to have to keep my tactic. I'm going to have to.
I like that.
I'm going to have to get a copyright on that tactic. But,
yes, get it, because man, oh man, did you own it tonight? Top vote getter Jason London, who will be with us again on this new network. Thank you for joining us. Congrats, my friend.
Thank you, guys.
Jason London,
buddy.
guys. Class personified.
You're awesome, man. Thank you.
You are too, my friend. Thank you so much. Jason London. I'm going to bring in Joe Risitano in a moment, but Rock Richards, again, you heard what I said. We don't offer these stipulations all the time. Sean says, I like Jason. Brother versus brother, it could happen. It really could happen, guys. We don't know. I mean, For all we know, Jumping Jim Brunzell may face Brian Blair in round 2, the Killer Bees. We don't know, all intriguing matchups. Now, you may not be lost in that field of competition because stipulations are still available, but after this round, there'll be none. And we're doing this because the brackets, of course, have to be evened out for round 2. Rather than bringing more mystery folk, which we already have a lot of coming down the pike in these next few weeks to close out round 1, the few spots available, all of the names of all of those who have lost will be placed into a bowl, and then our viewers and judges will vote on who they think should get a chance to have a triple threat match. Maybe we'll have 2 of them, and the winner of that triple threat will then move on to round number 2. Is that something you're looking forward to?
Well, absolutely. I mean, it goes to show, that every competitor here has what they call a puncher's chance. I mean, Jason pulled. Who saw that coming? With such let's just say meat on the bone for the first 2 topics. When you're talking about discussing a quote, I had no idea that he could elicit such a reaction from what I thought was the more simple of the 3 debate topics. I mean, I was blown away, but I really, like I said, I was impressed by the way he approached it, really going for that more, making it more personal and just talking about
and I think he said that,
things affected him. Yeah.
Do you remember after round 1, he goes, I'm going to take a different approach, or he might've said that during
he
round
did.
1.
Yeah.
But your approach, again, there was a combination of facts. Your due diligence was on display, but also passion. There was passion there. There's no doubt, man.
And I think you kind of was in the middle. You had Joe, who was just like an encyclopedia. He was hitting you with facts after facts.
Sure.
And then, so I was kind of there, kind of in mid-range, trying to
maybe not mid-range. I'm
going
to make this official. I'm going to give people a sneak peek here since we're on the green room. Guys, don't go anywhere, because if you enjoyed this debate, wait till you see the Dark Cowboy, Brian Clark. Wait till you see much more coming down the pike in the next hour or so. Still another hour of great content, which we will, of course, include you in your comments. But, Rock, when we do go to this last resort bowl, so to speak, and take all of those incredible talents who've lost, Ken Patera, Todd Bridges, Glacier Ray Lloyd, so many have lost, Stan Hansen, every person gets a chance to vote for who they want to bring in to this triple threat last resort match. So first, it's a 2-step process. You first have to vote for people that you think are worthy of being in this triple threat match. Then one person has to win that match to move on to round number 2. But my points and votes are worth 5. Since I don't judge any of these, I'm giving myself 5. I'm going to say this. It's going to take quite the tall task for someone to wrestle my 5 points away, because as of now, they're going to Rock Richards.
Well,
my 5 points off the bat are going to Rock Richards.
Let's process what you just said. Think about the names that you just mentioned. And these are the guys that are in the loser bracket. What does that tell you? You know, when will you ever mention those gentlemen's name alongside of losing? I mean, if that alone tells you what kind of competition that this tournament brings.
And you're part of that, Blake. Rock. Maybe when can we buy TKN shirts? Rock, when should pretty soon, right? Maybe hopefully soon we'll be able to buy some TKN shirts.
Maybe.
Never know, guys and gals. Rock Richards again. Rock might have an announcement coming down the pike. Don't want to say it just yet. Rock and I are talking. We'll make it official at some point. Rock Richards, congratulations to you. Man, oh man, I cannot wait to see you once again, in my opinion, humble opinion, get a shot at this again, because you tonight, if you proved anything, it's that you're not only classy, you're not only a great debater, but you are relentless.
Yes, sir. And Avi, if you don't mind, I came up a little short in the field of combat tonight, but if you get a chance, please check out Mid-Atlantic Territories Wrestling on YouTube. Redefining the golden era of pro wrestling, baby. Bringing wrestling back to what it always was meant to be.
Mid-Atlantic.
I thank you for the opportunity.
Mention it one more time, please. Mention it one more time.
Mid-Atlantic Territories Wrestling. You can find it on YouTube. Find it on Facebook. It's. I'm telling you, it's going to be something big.
You're looking at a family man. You're looking at a man that obviously has a passion for pro wrestling, and he doesn't take a back seat for anyone when it comes to intellect and class. Thank you for joining us, Rock Richards.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me, brother.
Green Room Original, Rock Richards, guys and gals. What a hell of a talent, man. Joe Risitano, let me bring you in momentarily. And guys, Dark Cowboy's coming up next. But Joe, you're hyperventilating back here, but I understand. Do you saw that shot of me where I was kind of wiping the sweat off my brow when I won my match with Mark and Jenny, myself and Mark advanced? I can feel what you're feeling right now. Is it safe to say that you were shocked that Jason London came back from behind. Third, we haven't seen that a lot. Like third place after round two. After round two, third place, and then just annihilated the field. I mean, incredible. You were part of that field.
I was, honestly. It's okay. I did my best. I worked very hard. You could see that. I put the passion and the time in, and I'm so grateful. It was a hard one, and I'm so very thankful to be in this. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Your thoughts regarding the competition? How would you assess
Their
based in London?
Rock was very tough. Rock brought all the facts that were needed, necessary to make him through. Very tough competitor. I think that was the toughest one out there. I liked Jason, a lot of personalizing, but that last topic sailed him on through. Just nothing else. It was amazing, and he even made me feel a ton about that, and I loved it.
Joe Risitano, you're in round number 2 right now. Please let your ever-growing fan base let them know that we have much more show to go, Joe.
We have much more show to go.
I saw some holes.
Don't leave.
You're intelligent. You're bright. You're charming. You're honest. You're hardworking. Remember when I said months ago you were one of my dark horse picks to win this whole thing?
Yes, I do.
I haven't changed my mind, but I'm going to say this to you. Watch the tape. Watch what went wrong so you can do what's right. Because come round 2, there's some big boys and gals out there. And they've won, and they want to keep on winning, and keep on winning, and keep on winning. I'm going to bring in the great debate champ, Eric Heron, right now, and maybe he'll concur, because, Eric, the winning doesn't stop for those that want the pride and the prize.
Absolutely not. You got this one. You got in. We told you you could do it. We told you last Monday that you could do it. We had faith in you. Now you're in. Now it gets real. Now it gets tough. And if you thought tonight was tough, if you thought a come from behind victory from the third place competitor was tough, round 2, right, you ain't seen nothing yet, son. Because I'm in round 2. He's in round 2. And you might get one of us, little brother. Be ready.
Eric Heron's thoughts. Let's bring in John Red with some quick thoughts. Guys, the Dark Cowboy is not going to ride into the sunset just yet because he's coming up next. I call him Brian. You call him the Dark Cowboy. And maybe then there'll be a meeting of the minds. And there won't need to be a headset or a microphone. There won't need to be a laptop in front of me, a device, no talking points. It's time I stand up, literally, and go out to that desert in the fall and face the man I call Brian Clark. But before I do so, Joe Risitano will be facing perhaps a bevy of incredible competition in round number 2. John, you're in round number 2, so your thoughts, any advice you want to impart on Joe Risitano?
Well, Joe, you already know it only gets harder from here.
Yes, sir.
And, you know, we went into the round 3 with you asking for your 2 points, thinking you wouldn't need them. Well, actually, you needed 4. So it's not over till it's over in the grand debate. So anyone who has a big lead going in round 3, whether it be a one-on-one thing or a triple threat, you got to give it all the way to the end.
And you got a lot in common with Joe because you had to wait, much like Joe, like 5-6 months between the qualifying round and, of course, round 1, John. So, again, let's give Joe credit for hanging around, hanging tight, staying tough. John Red, guys, had to have 2 matches in round 1, unprecedented. So that's it's quite interesting that took place.
And just like me, you had a mystery competitor come in and actually was victorious in the thing. I had a mystery competitor come in and didn't win in the first time. When she got her second taste of it, she got unanimous votes.
Yeah.
So she showed
that's how
her.
it goes, guys. John Red, of course, enjoying the stogie, the victory cigar. Guys, don't go anywhere. The Dark Cowboy, Joe Risitano, is still here. So, of course, hang around here and watch us everywhere you can. We are on 53 pages now. Thank you. The admins will be here on the green room when I have time to bring them on here because they're so valuable to what we do, and we don't want to ever forget that or forget addressing that live. Our admins aren't. We would not be pulling in these numbers without our admins who allow us is the word, to stream on 53 pages, not including my own YouTube and, of course, the TCAN Facebook page and the pages of my co-host, John Red. Thank you. Let's bring in Megan and see what she thinks regarding Joe Risitano, what she was able to observe. She's not in round 2 yet. She will be one of the final people competing in round number 1. But what do you think about Joe Risitano and what you saw tonight?
I think that Joe Risitano definitely brought it. Avi, you did mention some holes, and of course, there's always more to learn. But I think that, Joe, you definitely brought forth your knowledge. You clearly did your homework. You kept things moving. You didn't stutter, stumble, mutter, and you might want to work on your rebuttals.
There you go. Megan, no question mark needed. Because guys and gals, there'll be more of Megan later on. Pete Sharpie, you're one of the first to advance to round 2 right after Stephen Tobolowsky did on April 1st. Your thoughts on Joe?
Joe, like Avi said, I am one of the first, and you did okay. You did okay.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to seeing you in the second round.
Do you appreciate the fact that I'm staying civil right now, Pete? Because I have. Because that's 2 straight weeks now that I have to look at that mug. And despite the fact that I'm looking right at you, I took my shades off. Take your shades off. Take your sunglasses off. Go ahead.
They're off, Avi. They're off.
What do you
want to do? You want to go? You want to do this now?
Do I want to do what now, Pete?
You want to do? You want to do what? You want to do this now, Avi?
Do I want to listen to your nonsensical garbage? Sure, go ahead.
Go ahead. And I'm trying to give him advice, but no, you come and attack me. This is why you need to go.
I need to go.
You need to go.
Where am I going, Pete?
Away from the green room, Avi. Away from the green room.
Away from the green room.
Away from the green room. Clearly, you're unstable for this because you can't even have a decent conversation with me.
I don't think a lot of people in this world can have a decent conversation with you because you don't know who the hell you are, do you, Pete Sharpie? More on that later, guys. Let's bring in Howard Collado. Guys, the Dark Cowboys coming up next. Blake is literally losing his mind in the comment section. Don't worry, Blake. I guarantee you the Dark Cowboy is coming up right next. And again, this is Joe's victory dance. Jason London, of course, advanced to round number 2 as well. Howard, you're also in round number 2. Your thoughts on what you watched tonight?
Now, Joe, I have a little secret for you. I have to admit, not only today or tonight was I a judge, I was also a scouter. I scouted. And there was something that London did at the end that I questioned whether or not you could do. It's going to be important. And that's hard, Joe. Joe, you do your homework. I see that. You do your homework and you bring it, but now could you let go of that homework and jump in with your heart? That's
Howard
what I
Collado
question.
and his thoughts. Guys, keep commenting. Let's break some records here tonight. Let's bring in Giselle. Yes, I said it. What are your thoughts?
Well, I have plenty of thoughts about what you just said, but I suppose we'll save that for a bit later, won't we? Won't we? Great. I do so love when you give me the silent treatment, Mr. Klein. It goes a long way into proving my points.
Silence is the great equalizer, isn't it, Giselle?
Your thoughts, Kate?
I'm a very underrated listener. I was just waiting for you to keep embarrassing yourself, but I guess you stopped. Go ahead, proceed if you'd like.
Tonight we're here for Mr. Risitano.
Yeah, I said that.
Would
are you going to take more beats, or are you going to give me your opinion on Joe Risitano winning?
That might depend on how you're reacting.
I'm not the focal point right now. Joe is.
You're not supposed to be, but it certainly
You're making me one. You're making me the focal point right now.
Am I making you one?
Yes, with a capital T and an H and an E.
Bravo, Mr. Risitano. I always believed in you. I knew you could do it. I like what I saw tonight. There's a lot of us that could still use quite a bit of practice in this arena, as many of us are new to it. I think you've got what it takes, and you will be a very formidable opponent in round 2.
Giselle's in round number 2 as well, guys. Kate Hart is not. Joe Risitano, I'm going to put you backstage. let your legion of fans know that there's more show to go, if you don't mind. Congratulations. Guys and gals, I want to let you know that next week the mystery continues. Because next week, we might have 3 or 4. We don't know. Competitors, July the 22nd. Dakin Matthews, we know will have 3 in the month of August. We also know that Megan will be having a debate match of her own against 2 mystery competitors. And this man will have a match against Kevin Farley. That's what it says. But we also know that Brian Clark and I went at it on the review show. It was hot and it was heavy. A lot of words that were exchanged between 2 brothers. And just to give the new viewers some context, when they're watching what they're about to, I sat back as a writer and I watched these words come to life because Brian Clark embraced this character, the Dark Cowboy. And the great thing about watching him embrace the character was, it wasn't he was just embracing the words. He wasn't just embracing the thoughts, expressions, the cadence, the intonation. He wasn't just nailing objectives. Brian Clark fell in love with the Dark Cowboy because he understood the Dark Cowboy. And it's okay to understand characters and not become them. I don't like when storytellers tell me they want to become a character. And I'm entitled to not like that. You see, in my world and in my headspace, it makes more sense when we get to know a character. But now Brian Clark, much like some of the others that you've seen, Giselle flaunting around as Kate Hart and Megan trying to convince me that she's Gina Marie, all these characters they portrayed, these are riddles for now for all of you because they're riddles for me. But pretty soon, I guarantee you, we'll go deeper, a lot deeper. And unlike these colors that I'm wearing tonight, we will not dive into the deep blue. Because that would make me blue. We don't need to. What we need to do is focus on the Grand Debate Tournament. But if Brian Clark wants to parade around and call himself, as Mindy Froley calls him, the Dark Cowboy, if Brian Clark wants to write a story that has already been written, if Brian Clark thinks that yours truly, who's not screaming or yelling, if he thinks that yours truly, Avi Klein, a man that's been here in the beginning, a man that did everything he could to cultivate and to shine a spotlight on those storytellers that had stories to tell, if he thinks for 1 second that I will allow my mind to believe such nonsense, I've always said you can't make sense out of nonsense. And if he thinks that I believe that he and his character have been submerged and they're one and the same, nuh-uh. You're doing everything you can, like Pete Sharpey, who you're probably working with, to get me the hell out of here. You're Brian Clark, my friend and my brother. You are not the Dark Cowboy, because that character met quite the grisly fate in season number 1, didn't he? His ancestor, a headstone, so many of them. And that one blast, as the Dark Cowboy ascended to new heights. Exterior, gunshot. The Dark Cowboy falls into parts unknown. I wrote that. You told that. And it's done. For you to have life, Dark Cowboy, I have to keep writing. Because if I don't, the desert will become your purgatory.
come when the sun go down. Gonna lay by the river, gonna rest my eyes, 'cause I know this time tomorrow there ain't gonna be blue skies. I'll walk a lonely mile, so many years I roam. I'm sinking slowly, so low. Lord, won't you take me home? The devil's gonna come when the sun goes down. The devil's gonna come when the sun goes down. A shallow grave by the riverside, marked off with a granite stone and the date I died. Let down for no good reason, chose to walk the way I did, and now whatever I see coming up ahead, now the devil's gonna come when the sun goes down. The devil's gonna come when the sun goes down. The devil's gonna come when the sun goes down. The devil's gonna come when the sun goes down. Shallow grave by the riverside, marked off with a granite stone and the date I died. Let down for no good reason, chose to walk the way I did, and now whatever I see coming up ahead. The
You guys all see it, right? You see what I see? I've been getting questions about it all week. I've been getting questions about this ever since Monday. Are Brian and Avi really going to tie into it? Is Avi really going to go to the desert? Is Brian really going to do something to him when he gets there? Is Avi going to do something when he gets there? All you people want is blood. That's all you clamor for is blood. Blood of my blood. Flesh of my flesh. And you're all calling for it. And I'm supposed to be in a good mood about that. I'm supposed to be happy. I'm supposed to answer all of your damn questions. Eric, what are you going to do about it? Eric, what's Avi going to do? What's Brian going to do? Piss off all of you, because I am not going to let my brothers do this. I'm not. I'm not going to let the two men that I admire most on this planet rip each other apart. Brian needs help. Brian's stuck in this mode of I'm the dark cowboy. My brother needs help. And we're going to see that he gets it. And you, I don't know if I should slap the shit out of you or congratulate you. I don't know what to do right now because you seem to be instigating it. He's our brother, for God's sake. And you really think that going out there and y'all getting into fisticuffs and spilling blood is going to fix anything? You think that?
I say this with a heavy heart, Mr. Heron, but I can tell right now, after hearing that latest monologue of yours, that you don't have the brain power to understand what this is. Sorry. Love you to death, regardless. Great debate champion. Focus on that, bro, because you are intelligent, passionate, and strong. But if you think all this is, you don't have the brain power to understand what this is. And that has nothing to do with a knock on one of the most intelligent guys I know, which is you. But I'm sorry, because if anyone I thought could understand why this is headed, the way that it's headed, and where it's headed, it would be you. And the reason why I say that, guys and gals and pals, we're not ignoring you either because I know you're watching and commenting. The reason why I say that is because Brian Clark is a dear friend of mine as well. He's a brother. But because he's a brother, I have to give him the respect of going down to his neck of the woods in that desert and facing him eye to eye. And that's not a macho thing or a guy thing. That's a respect thing. Anyone who's ever had a friend, everyone who's ever had a friend that they consider a brother, a sister, someone closer, someone that may be bound by blood, would know that the next step is to break bread, look at each other eye to eye, and figure out what went wrong.
But that
I want to figure out why this man, who never played Mickey Mouse games, is all of a sudden trying to resurrect a character that already met a grim fate, Eric Aaron.
I get that. I 100% get that. And this Avi Klein isn't the Avi Klein that told the world on Monday that I'm going to go down there, and if I have to, you're not going to see me in a blazer. You're not going to see the bandana. I'm going to be in a tank top, and I'm going to beat your ass, Brian Clark.
I get it. So
I'm trying to figure out because
simply due to the fact that I'm not yelling or screaming means that I don't want to beat the hell out of Brian Clark if he still tries to keep up this charade. No, Eric. But guess what? Monday was Monday. I've had 4 or 5 days to cool down. I will not holler or scream. I don't need to do that. That was primal. That was real. And this is real too. And I'm telling you right now that I will refrain from ever ruining these vocal cords because I host a show and I've got that moron Pete Sharpie trying to get me out of here.
You do.
And his accomplice Julie. And there's a lot of stuff I'm not going to complain about because you know what, bro? We got it good. We got TKN. Last year was about building this place. Now it's about making sure that we emphasize brand awareness, let people know what we have, how we did what we did, what we're still doing, what we're attempting to do. And it's not about the stars. And yeah, if you go down the Google rabbit hole, there isn't a collection of established talent, such as the case with other networks. But it exists here. But you're the heart and soul of this, and so is everybody else. Eric, I always ask you to send me nightly updates. I ask everyone to send me nightly updates. Do you know why? It's because when I'm in a meeting, every single time I'm pitching, Howard knows this too, and you should. Every time I'm in a meeting, Zoom, StreamYard, whatever, You want to talk blurring lines? Let's talk honesty. I have to make sure that every potential investor, and there have been more who said no than have said yes. That's what they do. But every potential investor I've had a conversation with these last 2 years has had to be reminded by yours truly that the talent that represents our network, the green rumors, if you will, the talent that may not have a resume to brag about, are just as much, if not more valuable than the celebrities. And the way to do that is to show them that you're working hard nightly, is that you're posting everywhere, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook. I do that because I want to show them that you guys have heart, that I do want to do the impossible. Yeah, I'm making it hard on myself, but you know what? I'm not exactly a saint. I've got my flaws. I guess what makes me closer to sainthood is I can admit my flaws instead of hide behind them. I got my flaws, man, but one of them isn't loyalty. I'm loyal to Brian. I'm loyal to you. I'm loyal to everybody in the back and everybody that didn't make it on this show tonight. And the reason why I'm loyal is because I know what it's like to struggle and to tell someone that they can't tell a story because they don't have their name on the Walk of Fame somewhere. That's BS. It's BS. And you know what? You guys do deserve your roses. And that takes me to where I'm going with Brian Clark, because Brian Clark is not merely a pro wrestler. Brian Clark is not merely a person who was in the ring with a camera shoved in his face for 20 years while he was being celebrated by all of his fans. He did that. Sure, he can move like a hyena, as tall as a mountain. We get all that, all right? But we also know that he, just like you and everybody else, has so much more to offer than merely their profession. And if he can't get that through his head, if he can't understand that there's bigger things for him and the Atom Bombcast, right, and this grand debate, if he can't understand that 2022 is not only a bygone era, it's an era that will never come to fruition again, then I've got to go see him face to face and see what the hell's wrong with him. Because virtually, I can't tell. Eye to eye, and you should know this as a man as well, eye to eye, and I say this as a man, women, man, it's not a gender thing, but as the type of man that you are, you know where I'm coming from. So if he still wants to lie to my face and call himself the Dark Cowboy, it'll get physical. And maybe then, all of a sudden, and this isn't where I play the role of John Wayne. I know he's 6'13". I'm a big guy, too. I know a thing about combat as well. All right? I'm going to go at Brian. I'm going to see red. I know all the wrestling fans are going to cheer and call for my head. Let them. Let them. But if it gets to that point, at least we'll know the two brothers settle it the way that they should, Eric Aaron.
You're right. But why do it publicly? This is what I don't understand about my brothers. This is what I don't understand about my brothers, ladies and gentlemen. We're brothers. You want to see me eye to eye, face to face? We'll go handle it out back. It'll just be the two of us. We'll come walking back, have a beer later. Whatever, if that's what you want to imbibe on. But you have no choice but to do this publicly. I get it. Brian's not right. I get it. You want to protect what you created. I get that too. That's your baby. You sacrificed hours upon hours, day upon day, night upon night, toiling. 30 plus characters, weekly scripts for 30 plus characters for over a year. You think I don't understand that? Hell, I took part in it. Enjoyed it. Loved it. Thought I did pretty okay. But the telling thing right now is not the fact that you want to go see Brian face to face calmly. And I do believe that's what your intention is. Calmly. Go out there, see what's wrong with the man. It's the fact that I've seen you hit red. I've seen you lose your cool. I've seen him lose his. And now I'm going to be faced with losing potentially one, potentially two of my brothers. What part of that aren't you comprehending? It's not just about you and Brian anymore. It's about me too. It's about Howard too, because we're a fucking family. And yeah, you guys want to go handle your shit, go handle your shit. Fine. Bring my brother home. Howard, I don't know what to say to him anymore. I can't change his mind. You change his goddamn mind. This is not going to go well. It's a war.
I've seen these brotherly divisions way too many times in this green room.
Right.
And you know what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're talking about.
And I worry. I worry for him and I worry for Brian.
And then we got these two down here that are playing the same damn game Brian is. I don't know. Is it a game? Is this Memorex? What are we doing now?
Guys, at what point do you just let it go?
Who the hell are you?
I haven't said much about this topic, right? Because I've been really focused on this debate and the $13,000 and the trip to Greece and the pride and the prize. But guys, I'm going to tell you this myself very calmly.
Get him.
It is time to just let the skin die.
I
What
mean,
do I mean
that's funny
specifically?
coming from you, from both of you. Two dead men talking, walking, making points.
Dead? What the fuck? What the fuck is she talking about? What the hell is she talking about?
It was.
Hey! Is
Why do you think
my
this
clock
is-
says my clock says 2023. What in the hell are you even talking about? Dead?
How do I explain this more simply? There's a pen. There's something called paper. Avi Klein took a pen to paper and wrote 30 characters in 30 story lines.
Quite astounding.
There's something
Was he the only one
amazingly
writing?
astounding. And I
Hey,
was
I got
part
an
of that,
idea.
and it was a beautiful journey. Yeah, Eric.
I got an idea. Let's cut ourselves and see who bleeds. Then we'll figure if we're dead or not, right? How about we do that? Because that's about as ludicrous. That's about as fucking ludicrous as saying, "Oh, hi guys, my name's Eric. I'm a dead guy talking to you through a computer." Wake the fuck up, Giselle. Wake up, Megan. Story's over. It's time to move on.
Is it over?
Am I a story?
Yes, it is over, okay? As you saw in that video package, it was over in November, okay? 2022. Guys, this is 2023, all right? Wake the hell
I have
up.
a question. You respect your brother, Brian Clark. He seems like someone who is stalwart, someone who is steady, someone who is mindful, conscientious, strong. Why is this happening to him?
First off, that's the last time you're going to speak of my brother in that tone. Secondly, my brother needs help. He needs help. We're going to get him the help that he needs. We're going to get him the help that he needs.
He does.
We're going to make sure Brian gets the help.
Who needs help, Eric? Who needs help? Who needs
Brian
help?
needs help. Brian
needs help, right? Because Brian is
Brian needs
convinced
help.
that a character, he's convinced that a character is actually one and the
Exactly.
same with him. Right? Okay, so we all know that.
We need to get him some help.
Okay, Eric, I want to put you in the back momentarily. I want to bring you in again because, guys, Eric Heron is talking about helping me, and while I respect that, Eric, you did give me what I wanted because I want the best for you. You abandoned the notion of Sean Stasiak's head in your hands. You abandoned that notion until the end of this tournament because you know there's bigger fish to fry, and I appreciate that. But maybe Sean doesn't feel the same. Maybe Sean feels as if it wasn't quite genuine when you made those sentiments. So more on that next week, Eric. But Howard, and I'm going to bring you in momentarily as well. I want to have a conversation with these two young ladies here and remind them or ask them to do something for me as I put them backstage, if they can. One word. One word that you would like to define your journey in this loop or any other. And we'll take it from there because it's up to you. That word doesn't exist in my psyche. It exists in yours. Take your time. One word. And we will have that one word appear on screen very soon, but Mindy Red is not having a good time. Mindy, did you not hear what I just said? Did you not catch the fact that I just told Eric Heron and he concurs with me as well? Howard was there. Like, you've known us for a while. So there's a person named Pinocchio Joe in my story, but it's a person playing and portraying this character. There is a human being. You've got a debate matchup on July 29th with two amazing storytellers portraying the characters of Davis Jubilee and Pinocchio Joe. You told me during the review show, guys, and watch it on Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern time, because the review show it's more than a preview and a review. It recaps and gives you a chance to go deeper into this place that we call the blurring of the lines. But Mindy, there is no blurring of lines when I tell you to your face that the man playing Pinocchio Joe and the man playing Davis Jubilee are storytellers that I love. Now, they played those roles really well. They did amazing. They even made you believe that maybe they had a different intention. You told me that you know that they're playing characters, but you think that they might be taking it too seriously. Mindy, I speak with them all the time. One of them is here right now, actually. He might be able to concur. They're not out for your head. They're out to win this debate because for them, much like Jason London earlier, much like Rock Richards, who didn't advance, and much like, of course, Joe Risitano, who did, it's about the pride and the prize. $13,000. Look, we're not going to get personal here. We're recording. It could help your life. You don't. 13,000 could help. It could go a long way, right?
A very long way. Yes, very, very long way. You know,
and being Mrs. TCAN isn't a bad deal either, right? I mean,
oh man,
it's not because of the superficial nature of it, but knowing that you accomplished something and you work hard to get there and representing the network, that's a pretty cool thing.
Absolutely, it would be an honor. Absolutely.
Is Eric going to Dallas? That's where I live. I would like to see this confrontation. According to Eric, eventually. According to Sean, he thinks imminently. Bob, hence the perfect place for the disappearance of humans, the desert. Bob Cook is referencing the desert, and Bob Cook would be right. Mindy, back to you for a moment, because, again, Pinocchio Joe, July 29th, guys, we're at the 11th hour. There aren't too many matchups left in this first round. We've been delivering every match we promised. Think about that. Again, there's the booking that goes into this, the conceptualizing, and then, of course, the talent themselves giving you amazing, amazing debate performances each and every week. April 1st was round one. In August, the end of round one. So again, only 4 months. We did have the qualifying rounds prior to that. So again, appreciate this. Don't ask for this to end, because if you're enjoying it, why shouldn't it keep going? But it's going to keep going while more and more names are eliminated. And you don't want to be one of those, Mindy, because that last chance bowl is going to be competitive as it is. You want to be one of those who clears her path into round number 2, but you can't do that if you're psychologically affected by this silly notion that Pinocchio Joe and Davis Jubilee are out to are you hearing this back here? I'm not gonna mention his real name here, but I will maybe when the time is right. Are you hearing this? She thinks that you're really a killer.
Hi, Mindy. How you doing? How's John? How's the kids doing? You guys all doing well? Enjoying summer?
No.
Augie's right. You know, I'm just a person portraying Pinocchio Joe. You don't have anything to fear. Or do you? Mindy, we have a date coming up. July 20, 2 weeks away. That guy that's portraying Davis Jubilee is one hell of a storyteller, isn't he? He's definitely committed to his role as Davis Jubilee. Hey, we are just characters from the Lake Series. Remember that? Back in 2022? You have nothing to worry about. This is just simply a debate match, Mindy. You know. It's not like if you lose. You have to worry about dying or anything, right, Avi?
No, she's taking it too literally.
Or do you? Mindy, your mind's playing tricks on you again, isn't it? Going through this once again, aren't we? Understand that last year we were involved in a horror series, by the way, which is going to air on the network. 60 plus shows, the Lake series, all airing very soon on the site for free. You know, some of the people are going to be able to relive the Lake series, and others will be able to experience it for the very first time. I loved being a part of that and played a great character, but I'm here for one thing, and that's to win this debate. You know, to me, others, I imagine it's all about the pride and the prize. Yeah, pride and the prize, 13 grand, $13,000, trip for 2 to Greece, and of course, about being named Mr. TKN. That's what I'm after. That guy playing Davis, I'm sure he's after that as well. It's all about the riches and the spoils, after all. Oops, did I say riches and spoils? Oh, sorry, Mindy. I'm a storyteller, you know, and I've had a long week picking up a bunch of gigs. I've been out to LA, back to New York, out to LA. They're trying to sign me up to play some different characters, but sometimes, you know, I just can't even recall which script is which. But you need to trust me when I tell you, you have nothing to worry about on July 29th, 2 weeks away. Because after all, there's nothing to fear but an empty space known as the Dark Cellar.
And one more thing, Mr. Pinocchio Joe, if you don't mind me bringing you in right now. Maybe we should tell Mindy, oh Mindy, that you'll be hanging around a lot more. As of 2 nights ago, the strike went public. So you can enjoy this role even longer. How about that, Mr. Pinocchio Joe?
Yeah, I just was catching up on that. That's gonna be something. It'll be around a long time.
Mindy Red, the final chapter may have been written after season number 1, but in this grand debate tournament, Pinocchio Joe has just begun. And remember something. Unlike the classic Pinocchio, this Joe don't lie. July 29th, Davis Jubilee, or is it? Pinocchio Joe, or is it? Of course not. We went over this earlier. 2 amazing thespians, storytellers, some of you call them actors, will be in this incredible matchup. It'll be quite dark, but you heard Pinocchio Joe. Mindy has nothing to worry about. She shouldn't worry she could outrun him. Well, I don't think you can outrun the darkness that is Pinocchio Joe, because he embraces his role oh so much. Some of you are saying that he is quite scary over here. Very creepy, says Trixie. Cringy for sure. Well, he's a storyteller, guys. That's all he is. Speaking of storytellers, I want to bring in a man who's told quite the story over the last 2 years. Started out as friends, didn't we, Pete?
Yes, we did. Great friends at that.
Pete, I want to mention this because we're at 3 hours and 16 minutes now. There's a piece of footage that I'm going to play, but it's not yours. But I am going to play it next week when you're not here, because there is an announcement to make regarding Kelly White. And I was debating whether or not to play the video that you think is going to tell quite the story. And you know that I could see it. You know that this video is not exactly something that has been kept secret. You're quite privy to the fact that I've seen this video.
Oh,
my
I know
question
damn
to
well
you
you
is,
saw it.
if a 6'13" cowboy puts me to rest, I'll believe it, because that's believable. And not due to the sheer violent nature of it all, not due to the fact that there's going to be a physical tango of sorts. No, I'm not making this about anything physical. But when it comes to mind games, if all you have is a defeated Julie Reader,
Defeated
out of round number 1, if you have a truly Julie defending you and trying to do their best, guys and gals, these two, Pete and Julie, that is, to eliminate me from the place that I built, if you think that's all you need to get rid of not only a Green Room original, but the Green Room himself, I suggest that maybe it's in your best interest to concoct some story like Brian Clark did, or Giselle, or Megan, because a petition won't get the job done, Pete, unless you got something else up your sleeve.
A story? Avi, I don't need a story. Clearly, you've been unhinged these past 2 weeks. You're turning against Brian Clark, your brother. You got Kate. All these people, they're going to join my cause to get you the hell off the Green Room, Avi. Clearly, you need to be off. There is clearly something wrong with you. And it's been building up week after week after
What's wrong
week.
with me, Pete? What's wrong? I'd love to hear your opinion because you know me so well after all
You
these
seem
years.
very, very stressed. You need a vacation. A long vacation, Avi.
I do.
Very long vacation.
I do. But I'll tell you what, my friend. When I take that vacation, unlike yours, it won't be permanent. And that's not a threat because you're in round 2. But I guarantee you, you better hope you can keep winning. Because if you think that from a legality standpoint, you can do your best to get me out of here, I can play that game too. If we're going to play the corporate game, I can play it oh so well. Don't let the bandana fool you. You know me.
Oh, I know you very well, Avi.
If you lose in round number 2, I will make sure that your face will never be seen here again.
Well, that's easy because I'm not going to lose in round number 2. You're going to see my face for a very long time. All of you are. Everyone. Because when Avi's gone, you're going to be seeing my face all the time.
So you want to host this show? I know why. See, now I understand. You see, you got the itch. A corporate guy like yourself who was a pencil pusher, essentially, working in an office in a cubicle, I would lose my ever-loving mind, or my ever, as you said, blank mind. I agree with you, and I get why you got the bug, because 2 years ago, when we unveiled the celebrity tournament of 64, there you were hosting the show, and I gave you your roses. You hosted it well. You had all the motivation in the world. Sally Kirkland was flirting with you. She does with everyone, but she still liked you. Trust me. She did her best. Everyone knew that you had talent. I knew you had talent. I mean, from the corporate sector to the storytelling world, man, I loved it. But I could see in your eyes the envy. I could see that you assume that hosting this show is nothing more than coming up with some barbs or puns or one-liners or rhymes or anecdotes or stories. You'd be wrong. Technically, creatively, mentally, and psychologically, you don't want this job. You think you do. As a former friend, because we're not anymore,
No,
you don't want this job, Pete.
Well, I'm
Take that
taking this
advice.
job. I'm taking this job, Avi.
You want the job.
I'm taking this job. I'm taking it from you. Just like you're going to take me
Bob
away
Cook's
if I
advice.
lose in round
Turning
2.
on the leader always comes with negative consequences. What do you have to say to Bob Cook? Talk to Bob. Talk to him. He's here. He's commenting.
Okay, Bob, what makes Avi the leader? Clearly, he's been steering this ship in the wrong direction, attacking every single person on there. Wait,
Is that a question to Bob?
What kind?
I don't know. I just want to know, was that a question directed to Bob? Yes or no?
No, this is a statement to Bob. This is you want to bring
But you
up
said
stuff.
what makes Avi the leader. Let me just answer that really quickly. The fact that I don't call myself one. The fact that I don't think of myself as one. And the fact that
Well,
other
that's good.
people call me one is an honor. But guess what? That's not false humility. I don't consider myself anything but a storyteller, a director, and a producer. And I love to write. And I want to write your ending differently than we did in the lake, because your ending will be your comeuppance, not because you're trying to get me out of the green room. You have every right to revolt if you'd like. The reason why I want you out of this green room, Pete?
Tell me, Avi, why do you want me out of this green room?
Because you're no longer sharp. last words for the audience? How rude of me. You're a guest. Floor is yours. Go ahead.
No, this is how Avi treats me. Me, Pete Sharpie. Like he said, I was here from the beginning of the celebrity tournament where I came on and hosted. Avi, you don't want to call yourself a leader. You don't. But clearly people see you as a leader. But a leader should not be attacking people under him or his friends and stuff like that. We were great friends. I know you don't want to get into that type of aspects of how our friendship started and all that, but you turned on me. Remember this, Avi. You turned on me. Remember that, everyone. Avi turned on me. We're all going to see this because am I going to lose in round number 2? Hell no, I'm not going to lose in round number 2. I'm going to keep going on. Avi, you're going to be gone. And I know you mentioned a certain video, which I'm sure you hell have seen. I know you did. You saw it. There's a certain date out there, a certain date that everyone's going to look forward to. And, it's not going to throw out some numbers out there but yeah, Avi, I'm coming for your job. Not only am I doing it alone, but you've got Julie. She's got my back. Very soon, you know what? I might even have Brian Clark on there as well, because apparently you can't keep friendships. That seems to be a revolving problem with you, Avi. Friendships. You keep getting rid of people you get close to. You always find some sort of issue with someone. Like, for me, example, what the hell is your problem with me? And it's been recent. I mean, yeah, I'm trying to come after your job and all, which is normal. Friends do have barbs here and there, but no, you've been attacking me for a while. And, and I sit there, you know what? Avi and I, we go back a way long time. I won't take it to heart. But recently, the things I've been hearing, you've been calling me to other people. How the hell? You know what? Yeah, you're right. We're no longer friends. That friendship ended a while ago. And unfortunately,
I'm glad we can both agree on that, Pete.
Unfortunately for you, Avi, you're going to be seeing a lot more of me, whether you like it or not.
Well, if I'm banished by you, Pete, I won't have to. Because if you think I'm tuning into the green room starring Pete Sharpie, you've got another thing coming, my friend. I got a whole big checklist of Netflix to watch, and it's been about 2 years since I've been able to indulge. And there's the new network. But guys and gals, that was Pete Sharpie. Don't worry, because I will be watching the green room like all of you, because Pete Sharpie and his delusions of grandeur will go nowhere. My 2 cents. But that being said, he's a second rounder, and maybe next week when I see Pete live, maybe I will play that video. Maybe I will. With him in person. I'll play it regardless, but I'd love to see his reaction. Guys, speaking of reactions, you all had an amazing reaction to last week's matchup between Buff Bagwell and Kelly White. This thing was hot and heavy. I always say that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and of course, we all know that a video is worth 1,000,000. If I can play this for a second, I will. Guys and gals, this is what took place during the Kelly White-Marcus Bagwell matchup last Saturday night. Quite controversial. I'm not going to play too much of this, but then I do have an announcement to make regarding Mr. Kelly White. So this is off the network, as you can see, which you can check out yourself for free. It was really down to the wire. This round I have to go with Buff. So Gina votes for Buff as well. Robin votes for Kelly. I'm going to read this right now, guys. It's at 25-4. I mean, I'll still scroll down and count your comments so I don't leave you out of this thing. Aaron votes Kelly.
28-6.
Brian votes Mr. Bagwell. Hauser votes Mr. Bagwell. Julie Red votes Mr. Bagwell, which means we're at 20. What are we at, Eric? 28-6? 28-6, 29-6.
31-6.
Mindy votes Kelly.
31-6.
31-6, according to Mr. Bagwell. Let's see what we got over here. If that's the case, Karen says, yeah, Buff Bagwell gets my vote. Best decision I made to leave my career. Okay. Cheryl Riley says, Kelly appeals to the realist to me, but Marcus tapped into the dreamer. I vote for Mr. Bagwell. Cheryl Riley votes for Mr. Bagwell. Okay, guys, I'm going to start counting this thing down. 10, 9. You're going to see a reaction right now from both men. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Officially in round number 2 of the Celebrity Grand Debate Tournament is Marcus Buff Bagwell, who even in his home gets the applause. Marcus Bagwell moves on to round number 2.
Do it.
Kelly White is eliminated from this tournament. Kelly and Bagwell, you can take the floor solo, both of you, with your thoughts.
Kelly, you did a great job, bro. No doubt about it. I'll be honest with you. The second topic, man, I was against the ropes. And even the third topic, I felt like you ate me up. I just really kept digging, but I am the absolute best at off the cuff. The worst thing that could have happened to you on this one was it going to like a final round like that with it being off the cuff. I am dangerous off the cuff, man. And again, I'll let you go first, which is horrible, but you did a great job, bro. A really great job. But I don't know, man. Going second with something like that, I definitely had the advantage. So the coin, I think you lost it on the coin toss, but you did a great job, bro. You really did.
Well, guys and gals, that's not all, because it seems like it is. It seems like after that exchange between Buff Bagwell and Kelly White all night long, again, there were barbs being thrown and there were shots being taken and received by both men. But something happened, a technical snafu, which rarely happens here on the Green Room Live. And it happened during topic number 3. If I'm not mistaken, it was topic number 3, because we know Kelly White and Buff Bagwell were tied after 1. And then I got what I call the blue circle of death. You've all gotten it. It's when you see that little blue circle freezing up your screen and you can't pull up all the comments. So when it unfroze, I'd see a few. When it froze, I couldn't see the rest, and yada, yada. So it goes. They tied each other as a result, and then they went into sudden death, and Buff Bagwell annihilated that topic and advanced. Because the final result was Mr. Buff Bagwell moving on to round number 2, what about Kelly White? Well, guys and gals, Kelly White, as I counted those comments later on that night, Kelly White was right. He didn't merely bark. He was able to bite and take a big bite out of Mr. Bagwell, because if that blue circle of death did not appear before me, the votes indicated a winner, and it would have been Kelly White. Quite controversial? Well, sometimes there's no instant replay, so Mr. Buff Bagwell will advance to round number 2, and he has. But because Kelly White would have won based on all those votes that I could not see until later on that night, had Kelly won that round, he would have been up 2-1 and advanced officially anyway. So Kelly White is now officially in round number 2 of the Grand Debate Tournament. And for all we know, he might be drawing Mr. Buff Bagwell.
Oh, yeah. Greetings, Green Room Nation. I bet you probably didn't expect to see a big old grin on my face today or anytime soon after last Saturday's debacle. But as Avi alluded to on Monday's review show, that was hot and heavy in its own right, there's news. He's making an announcement at the end of this video, but I thought maybe I'd go ahead and let the cat out of the bag right here. You see, there's been a plague of technical issues on all these.
And there is here, guys and gals, there is here, because Kelly White, again, video is freezing up a little bit, but that was a victory speech from Kelly White. I'll play it. I'll play it Monday and I'll play it next week, because Kelly White's got some time before he enters round 2. So there's plenty of time to remind the masses and also give you a deep dive into Kelly's thoughts, because they're important. We want to hear what he has to say. We're going to make sure that we take care of that video, and next week and this Monday, exclusively on the review show, you will be hearing Kelly White's thoughts, honestly and wholeheartedly. Guys, we're about to wrap up, but we're not done just yet, because in the gym later this evening, as he always enters the gym, is one Brian Clark. And earlier in the gym is one Brian Clark, because he takes it seriously, and he's got a message for me. Notice I said Brian. And this video proves that the mind games are being played on me. We'll play that video, but I first want to bring in Megan and Giselle, because I am a fan of the written word. And I would love to see the word that you wrote. Starting with you, Giselle.
Well, Mr. Klein, for once I'm ignoring your instructions. Not entirely. With so many other events happening on tonight. I did not write my word. I have my word. But it's not on this blank piece of paper because it doesn't need to be. Because it exists within me. Always. Everywhere. Every time. Oh. Getting a little rankled, are we? With that?
Maybe.
My word is perseverance.
We did this before, didn't we?
Does it not make sense to you, Mr. Klein?
It did then and it does now. Maybe it'll make more sense to me once I see Megan's word. Dying to know.
I did have a question. Is this Megan's word or Gina's? From any loop.
I'd love to know how the story affected the two incredible storytellers before me, rather than the characters that they never became.
Well, I guess that'll be my mystery, because I did write a word down. But I don't think I'll tell you whose word it is.
You know, I figured something a little bit more sinister and wicked from the two of you, and you might not see it that way, but I do. I figured you'd go that route, so why don't I share you the word that I wrote or typed?
Honey.
The word is empty. I like that word. It speaks
I
to me.
wonder who it belongs to.
It belongs to all of us, my dear Megan. It belongs to every one of us. Aren't you the big existential mess? Aren't you the parasite that feeds off the dreams of others? Aren't you the one that provides me a memory that she created out of sheer boredom? Oh no, that's so silly me. That's the character of Gina. That's Gina. That's not Megan. What's wrong with me, Megan?
How confusing. And that is interesting that you would say that that word, or all words, I suppose, belong to all of us. When I remember a character of an author who was not very willing to share his words in their creation with others. Very covetous of his words, I would say. But you're not him either, because that story is over. No. So you would gladly allow others to take pen to paper, write a story that they so wish.
Who am I to control their fate?
Absolutely.
I mean, isn't that what the name of the game is all about? I mean, as far as this craft, isn't the idea, an ideology, an acceptance of ensemble, doesn't that lead to optimal success, Megan?
I wouldn't
I
disagree.
mean, we could learn a lot from one another. Our characters can learn a lot from us because they kind of hit that dead end eventually, don't they? They kind of really don't know what to do without us. They need us.
I mean, I feel like it's a little bit of a chicken and an egg kind of question.
Ah.
Does the character need the author, or does the author need the character?
Why do they need any? Why does a character need a storyteller, and why does an author need a pen or a paper or a writing utensil? Why do they need anything? Why do we tell stories? We tell stories because we want people to hear them, and we tell stories because we want people to know who the hell we are. Because if we told stories up here and kept them up here, there'd be no need to share with anyone. Because the great lie is sharing what we have for others so they could learn. That's not the case at all, is it? The reason why we share, Megan, is because we want others to remember our name. Because sometimes we forget. Sometimes we forget our names. Even though we wake up and see it plastered all across social media, even though people are texting us, even though people are saying our name and speaking it into existence, it's not real until everyone out there makes it real. You may not concur. I don't care. And I warn you, whatever physical challenge I have with Brian Clark in that desert will be nothing like the game of human chess that you and I will be playing.
I don't disagree with that either. I'm quite looking forward to it, in fact, Mr. Author.
Kind of hard to get work these days, huh?
Tell me about it. For writers, for storytellers, for anyone who wants to share a story. Sounds like people want us silenced. Shame on them.
I love how I figured out from day number one the major difference between Megan and Gina when separating character and self. You want me to share with you? Because I'd be happy to.
Certainly. Tell me which one she.
Gina has integrity.
Hmm.
Gina stands for something. She stands for something in a place that doesn't exist. And I can relate to that because at some point we felt like we didn't exist. We want something. And that hope is what keeps her alive in this story. That hope supersedes her background even. Because it's where she wants to go rather than where she's been. Because where she's been is a dead end. But as far as integrity is concerned, Megan, your integrity is nothing more than the shield to greed and vanity. I see it. I know it. I believe it. And with those puppy dog eyes and sweet voice and intellect, you have us all fooled. But I pegged you for what you really are.
I'll be sure to let Megan know your thoughts.
I think she already does. What's the matter? You got a migraine? Your head hurting or something? Or how's your car? Is your car doing okay?
Huh.
Oh, I know the internet server, right? Your emails. Let me see if they're coming through. Hold on. There's so many things going on in your wacky world. No, there's no. That update is from July 12th. Oh, damn it. One thing, it's another. I thought the Abyss had bad Wi-Fi. I'm sorry, Megan.
You are enjoying this.
Every single second of it, but not at your expense.
Well, you do respect Gina, at least.
I respect the character I wrote. And I respect you.
Taking all the credit?
I respect you. When you're not BSing me. But what do I know, right? You know it all. You've been around the world, and you're a bright individual who understands human psychology, education, and the craft. I mean, what do I know? Why should my words ever carry any weight in your world?
Why? Shouldn't all of our words carry weight, as you were just saying?
No.
Some words are more important than others.
If Ted Bundy told me to kill, I wouldn't.
But someone would.
It wouldn't be me.
Fair. So what words do we give weight to at the end of the day? Those that come from without? Those that come from within? Or is there a third option? I wonder.
At the end of the day, they're all empty anyway.
Vessels, as Giselle would say.
Maybe, just maybe, before we depart, maybe, just maybe, I bring in Mr. Howard Collado for a moment. And Giselle. Because if you can convince Howard Collado, my dear friend, that there shouldn't be a question mark in front of Gina's name, and as Kate Hart proudly wears her nameplate, it is not a task because you're independent, but humor me, and in under a minute, please allow Howard to see the error of his ways and my ways. Please allow us to see that the world that was written so long ago and that was told in 2022 never really left us, because I trust him. He's been by my side for a long time. If you can. It would mean the world to me and also to Howard, which is a person we all love.
Hi, Howard.
Hey, Megan.
Your body language is very closed off.
I wonder why.
I mean, Avi just asked you to listen to us. So I would think, as his brother, you would give us some actual time to speak to you. Honestly, and actually listen to our words. Can you do that?
Open.
How are you feeling?
Really aggravated.
Aggravated?
Yeah.
Why?
Why? Well, I'll tell you why. See, first and foremost, that is my brother you're talking to, Avi. I can see what you're slowly, gradually doing to him.
Me?
Driving him a little crazy. Yes. Yes, both of you. Okay? Now, guys, let's recant something a little bit. Megan, I saw you on stage doing Shakespeare. We've worked together. When Avi needed some female talent, you were the first person I thought of. As well as you, Kate. Okay? Because you know why? Both you guys... Actually, you know what? Let's phrase a question. You like questions here?
We do.
What does commitment mean to both of you?
Ooh. Commitment.
I like this question.
Commitment to a belief, commitment to a value, commitment to oneself, commitment to the truth.
Okay.
I mean, we are speaking words, and we are committed to them, are we not? Whether they come from the author's pen or from the depths of our own psyche. Commitment.
Is she getting through to you, John? Don't let me intimidate you at all.
Are you not committed?
You're talking about truth. But whose truth? Your truth?
Whose truth? Exactly. Yours, John? The truth of Mindy leaving you, or the truth of you shooting her?
John, what's the first word that comes to your mind when you're hearing Megan speak right now?
Deranged.
Howard, what's the first word that comes to your mind when you're hearing Megan speak right now?
Erratic.
Eric?
Legion?
Not anymore. Sorry, Megan.
Psycho.
Well,
Eric and I had a
trust me,
great conversation today.
I would not want Legion to come back. Honestly, talk about erratic and deranged and untrustworthy and without commitment. Legion, I would say of all of those who were in the Lake series, the least I would want to come back would be someone like Legion. I don't
Eric, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I did something so dumb. Because again, Megan and Giselle understand imagery. They understand that. It means a lot to them because metaphors are important, symbolism is important. What a goof. John, Eric, and Howard belong up here. The two of you can drown in your world until I see you again next week. Because your world is not a world we desire. Your world was a story that exists in the catacombs of your psyche. And if I'm wrong about that, I can't wait to be right. Until then, enjoy the water, as deep as it is. We'll be waiting.
It may not be the world you desire. It is the world you have.
You created.
Then I guess I'll just have to uncreate. Guys, what they have to say has no effect on this tournament, has no effect on me as a writer, and I'm here to look you in the eyes and tell you right now that you have my loyalty, because I'm not going to go into Lakeland anymore, okay? I know that could be quite convincing, but trust me when I tell you, I'm not going back to those waters again. You've got my trust, you've got my heart, you've got my mind, and you've got me as your brother and friend to the end, regardless of whether you win or lose this tournament. The Grand Debate Tournament is what we're focusing on. Am I right, John Red?
Yeah, that's what I want to focus
Am I right,
on.
John Red?
I'm tired of the lake. I'm tired of talking about it. I've had enough of it.
You want to edit those things like me, huh? Edit those 20 videos, Howard?
I've had enough lake in my life.
Oh, John, you want Mindy to put the lake ahead of your marriage?
Hell no. That's what she's been doing for 2 years now.
Well, you guys are divorcing, Eric. You want to play 3 characters instead of whipping the tail of Hall of Famers?
No, sir.
No, sir. No, Avi. Your bro. Yes.
God, no.
Fuck no.
Let's
We know the
focus on
truth.
this debate.
We know the truth. We know the truth. This guy over here may not.
Rumor has it that Brian Clark has lost a step or 2. Hell, maybe even 3. But there's also a rumor that the dark cowboy grows stronger day by day. In the Sonoran Desert, in a place we call a bygone era. But the problem is, Mr. Klein, is that he knows how you do business. You take the body conveniently and toss them in the weeds in the armpit of America that we call Secaucus, New Jersey. While he has a wide open desert and will just bury you in a shallow grave that will never be found. You see, the problem is that he doesn't mind confrontation. The problem is that he goes from 0 to death row and he can't be stopped. Remember, I summoned him. You wrote him. There's a hell of a difference. And it's too late now. You can't control him. I told you, I warned you. And now I want to know, and the fans want to know. What are you going to do? Can you write your way out of this one, Mr. Booker Man? He's ready.
I'm glad. Because in that desert in the fall, I'd rather see you bury me and my script once and for all. Because these aren't mind games. These aren't just acts of rebellion. I'd share with you the rest. But sometimes words have no meaning. And the rest of us, sometimes we're more than we desire to be. And sometimes we're just an empty space.